The Pat McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we can talk about.
Yes, speaking his mind.
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
While being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, beautiful people. It is Coach Us Up Chuck Wednesday, September 15th, 2021 years after zero. This show shall begin right now. Shout out to you listening on SiriusXM Channel 82, Mad Dog Sports Radio, watching along at youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show. What's the news of the day, you ask us, and we're asking the same thing because I believe most of it revolves around the reaction to what old Aaron Rodgers said just yesterday on this particular show. We'll have to talk about that all. We'll have to remind some people of other things that happened in that conversation as opposed to just the clips that get pulled out of context and potentially get talked about and paint a narrative that's completely bullshit. We'll do all of those things. Jermichael Finley has come out, former tight end for the Green Bay Packers, and say, I don't see the same work ethic on Aaron Rodgers.
Whoa.
I don't see it. Now, is Jermichael Finley hanging out with Aaron Rodgers in the offseason? I'm not sure. I don't think so. Is he currently on the team so he can see what he's doing on his day-to-day?
No.
I don't think so.
No, he's not.
He's not getting his fucking haircut, though, is he?
Oh.
Aaron Rodgers not getting his haircut.
No,
I see
he's
that. And remember, I asked the same question whenever he joined us the first time after the match. It was actually while I was battling 104.5-degree fever due to Uncle COVID stopping by my fucking house, and I didn't love it at all. I said, hey, were you sandbagging all of us? The only videos we saw of Aaron in the offseason was waterfall jumping, Taylor Swift singing, living his life, and then we saw him at the match, and his calves looked like fucking basketballs, all right? His shorts were incredibly tight. He looked like he was yoked up. If you could get past the free-flowing hair where he looks incredibly comfortable and relaxed, the first thing I saw at the match was like, let me see what type of shape this fucking guy's in. Literally. Because I'm a guy who can go from like 270 to 225, and it is very apparent what I did in the offseason, my first day back in the training camp. You could see it. You could literally see it. Like, this son of a bitch was a little bit lazy and eating in the offseason. That's literally what everybody would say. Bill Polian shake my hand, slap my entire body just to see what I was doing. I'm like, are you body checking me right now? Yeah, I was a little fat. I got a little comfortable. Going to have to get in shape. Aaron looked like he was in great shape at the match. I believe at the training camp he was dropping balls into the net. I think he was working this offseason. What I'm saying, I don't think he was loud about it though. But Jermichael Finley has inside sources maybe. I'm not 100% sure. He's come out and said this. Other people have judged Aaron being relaxed on yesterday's show. I asked him about that. I actually told him people are not going to be happy about that. And he said, it's just one game, man. If I get upset right now, what are we going to do next week? What are we going to do the week going forward? I'm very thankful Aaron stops by. Can't wait to see what they do this upcoming Monday against the Detroit Lions. Speaking of the Detroit Lions, they're in the news. We'll talk about that. Calvin Johnson, who is now a robust cannabis grower.
Hell yeah.
A successful dope business operator, a Hall of Famer, has also come out and said, I ain't working 28 hours for the Detroit Lions to get the money back that they owe me from fucking 15 years ago. Like, I'm not going to do that. He now has come out and said, you're going to pay me $1.6 million, however you're going to figure. If you want to make this right, you don't have to pay me, by the way, but the Lions have come out and said, we want to make it right. And Calvin Johnson probably all along was like, okay, we can do this. You stole money from me earlier. Now, your contract said we could take the money back. Okay, I feel like I outperformed my contract. I end up in the Hall of Fame and I retired early, and you don't have to be an asshole owner. I mean, Jim Irsay literally gave $25 million to Andrew Luck. I think that was just to keep him on the good side, just in case Andrew wants to come out of the woods and play football again. We're not 100% sure, but Calvin Johnson came out, went to a practice, I think, with the coaches.
Oh, yeah.
He was going into Hall of Fame, so there was a lot of story talk about the Detroit Lions days. He talked about Matthew Stafford on this show and other shows. Thought it was the right time to get back in there, and then the Lions made it. They say, hey, here's an offer. All right, you get your money back. Remember, that's what you want. This is the whole thing. You got to work 28 fucking hours for us. You got to come to one of our terrible games, 5 hours. We'll hit every single suite. And then you got 23 more hours of shit you got to do. We might need you to go build a goddamn playground. That's only going to count for 1 hour, though. We need 22 more of those things throughout Detroit. And Calvin Johnson's like, what? You can pay me to do all that shit. All right, you can pay me another contract on top to do whatever the fuck you want me to do. I'm just talking about the money you owe me from a decade ago. And now it's coming out. Calvin Johnson said, I ain't doing shit for it. You're going to pay me this or you're not going to pay me this. In the Detroit Lions, I assume assume we'll handle this in an accurate fashion. Let's hit up some of the boys. At Evan Foxy. You got to love when the Lions are back in the news cycle, especially for something like this.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, Pat. This is why we are the worst organization, not only in the NFL, but all of sports, and that's all I got to say.
Well, you guys still, that football team's fighting until the very end.
Yeah.
You guys are done 45
This team
points.
plays tough, man.
And MCD, I'll tell you what, man. They were fighting in that thing so much so that they covered.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Absolute dog shit. Well, that's gambling, baby. That's going to happen. But that team's going to fight. But the organization, I think, does have some things they got to work through and figure out. I'm not sure how this pans out with Calvin Johnson, but we are a firm believer in this particular studio that the Calvin Johnson curse is an actual thing.
Oh, yeah.
The Detroit Lions will forever stink because of the curse that has been put in there by the team's billionaire owners.
Right.
Taking money out of their Hall of Fame player who decided to retire early and literally never come back to football because of how bad it ended over there. All right? Not only him, though, Barry Sanders, same thing. Hey, need the money back.
Yep.
Barry Sanders. So I think we all saw Ted Lasso. They had an athletic training room that was allegedly cursed whenever he showed up there. Something happened. They went in there. I think they did some sage. They did some other shit. They smoked out the curses. I think the Lions need to think about just writing that guy a check, not only for 1.6, but hey, tax him. He should probably put 175.
Might as well.
1819. I mean, if we're talking about interest and how good Calvin Johnson is at investing, that $1.6 million probably 15, 20 million at this point. So what I'm saying is the Lions should want to make this right. Calvin shouldn't have to come out and answer questions saying, I'm not doing anything for that.
No.
Because Calvin Johnson isn't the one saying, hey, you owe me 1.6. He's saying, hey, if you want to make this right, this is probably what it's going to take. This is how I feel. Even though he is comfortable money-wise and financial-wise, whenever somebody takes money out of your pocket, okay, especially somebody you feel like, I've done a lot for you, I don't think he's out of line at all.
No.
And the fact that he has to come out publicly and say, this is all I'm asking for so that the narrative doesn't get painted against him, by people, it's like, this is beautiful NFL PR at work. The Lions have somehow been able to slip past this for so long. Now it's getting brought back in there. And guess what? We ain't going to let it die. Calvin Johnson was very nice to us. I'm a big fan of Calvin Johnson. And also for the good of the fucking Lions.
Yeah.
Get the curse out of the building and just pay the guy, Foxy.
How come every single person on earth knows he deserves that money and yet they still won't do it? I honestly don't understand. It's embarrassing.
Say it with me. Because it's the goddamn Lions.
They stink.
And it won't be the year until we pay Calvin Johnson.
I honestly,
Never be the year.
Hey, I read The Alchemist, okay, and I believe the universe tells you stuff.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, I feel like the universe has tried to tell the previous owners, now Sheila Ford, I feel like I feel like the universe has tried to tell them, like, hey, listen, this got brought back up at perfect timing. Brand new owner. Hey, the Hall of Fame's happening. We can just make this thing just go away with the new ownership. The universe was trying to drop that into their life. Like, hey, here you go. We're just going to make it right. He's going to Hall of Fame. We want to practice. You guys, this is kind of your thing. You can make it right. And still, somehow it's like, yeah, we could make it right, but also,
Fuck that guy.
What about the community?
fucking 28 hours of community service.
A year. It was 3. It's because they were going to give $500,000 in 3 different payments.
Yeah.
So they're going to make them do 28 hours each year during that time.
And by the way, people that work 40 hours a week and say like, hey, that's a bunch of bullshit for that amount of money, we agree. Hey, I completely agree. If you were just to talk 28 hours for the amount of money they were going to pay him or whatever, it's an absurd thing. And I think Calvin Johnson would even say it's absurd. But what Calvin Johnson's saying is, I'm not going to work for you. Okay, if you want me to work for you, we can negotiate that contract.
Right.
What this is all about is what you owe me from a decade ago.
Yeah.
This is a whole, you're talking about 2 different things. And I assume Sheila Ford Hamp was going to have, because, hey, MCDC said she's awesome. She's giving them everything they need, everything they want. Get rid of the curse. Pay that man his money. Okay, that's what I think should happen at Ty Schmidt. What's going on?
Well, that's what I don't understand is Dan Campbell came out and said, like, we want to make this right. And if he is super tight with Sheila Ford Hamp, like, when you first read this, it's almost like I thought Calvin Johnson was asking for like $150 million. And then you look a little closer, and it's like, oh, no, he's asking for like $1.5 million. Like, they're fucking billionaires. That's a drop in the bucket. You'll never see that money again. It just makes no sense.
And also shout out to Uncle Sam. You know what I mean? Uncle Sam's going to get a pretty good penny of that whole thing. I mean, it's just, I think right now it is literally just principle for Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson, by all accounts, hard worker, great guy, incredibly intelligent, just all these things.
Class act.
A class act, great businessman. I think all these things. And him just looking at them being like, that's not right. Like, I'm not. I love it. I just want to let everybody know I absolutely love everything about it. And this will be the most we talk about the Lions for some time, unless they somehow gnaw the kneecaps right off of Aaron Rodgers on Monday Night Football. Hey, right now would be a good time to give Calvin his money, by the way. Monday Night Football is about to happen. Lions don't get many primetime games other than those Thanksgiving games. Now would be the time to get that curse out of your building, I think.
Absolutely.
Maybe that'll be what they do before the end of the week. That'll be the Friday news dump. Hey, and by the way, we have decided to pay Calvin Johnson not to 1.6, but we did give him $750,000.
Whoa! Be a massive win.
That'd be a big time positive spin maybe for the Lions. Maybe go ahead and do that.
Well, you also look at this. It's like I don't know if paying him is just like then everything that they've done and like how they've treated him for the last decade or so just like gets them off the hook. Like, yeah, we'll pay you. He's probably thinking like, well, I don't want to fucking come and like put on and act like, you know.
No, you would have to wear a Lions polo.
Exactly. Yeah. He's got to be, you know, just like a, you know, good old boy, and we'll pat you on the back and parade you around and make you, you know, do everything, and you'll.
It is like he's a pet.
Exactly. And he's like, you know what? Yeah, like you guys can pay me, but you owe me that. I'm not gonna forget the way you fucking treated me for the last 10 plus years.
Just make that thing go away. Let the Lions win.
Please.
Just let the Lions win. MCDC wants them to. Jared Goff wants them to.
Yeah.
Pay him.
I want them to.
Put his jersey in the rafters.
I mean, you want him to, depending upon at what point of the season it's in, right?
That's right. That's a good
Foxy.
point.
I mean, we falsely accused Boston Connor of maybe becoming a diehard Tampa fan last year when after the Patriots didn't make the playoffs, and he just was like, I guess it would be nice if Tom was to win, and we kind of took advantage of that. But Foxy actually took his entire Detroit Lions uniform off and put on a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform.
Week 12.
Week 12 of the season.
Hey, we're past that, though. This is a Motor City Dan Campbell era now.
Yeah,
so
until
we're
week
way
8.
past that.
You're right.
But think about Jim Irsay and what he did for Edgerrin James and Peyton Manning for the Hall of Fame stuff. I guarantee he paid more than $1.6 million just for that weekend alone for those two guys.
The party, the parties, I guess.
Buying
Edge a Rolls Royce.
Bingo.
He's buying Edge a Rolls Brother, Edge is getting a car,
the
man.
Plane, the glove box.
How about
Check
him?
the glove
Edge
box,
There'll be a
yeah.
little something in the glove box. He cut a promo into Edgerrin James's Instagram or whatever. He was like, Lamborghini, Rolls Royce, Bentley, it's whatever Edge wants, man. It's like, think about that type of ownership versus what's going on in Detroit. And listen, I understand every building is run differently, and we are having a AFC Special Teams Player of the Week in his rookie year after his first game, 22 years old, kicker on from Cincinnati Bengals. Evan McPherson will be joining us in about 15 minutes. I can't wait to chat with him. He was smiling before having to hit another kick or whatever. I love that. There was a guy on the other team coming up and like talking to him almost. Like there was a situation there with kicking happening where McPherson just showed up and balled out. He hit a 50-some yarder in the fourth quarter. He hit a game winner there. I can't wait to chat with him. But every time we point something like this out, whether it's like the Bengals not having a facility, okay? It's not for me to be funny. This is me saying like, hey, the fans in the NFL deserve better than what is happening here. Like there is people out there that if they were to run these, they would dream to run their dream is to run these teams. If they were to have them, let's assume that they'd be taking care of their fans better, their team better, and ultimately the fucking league better. You know, it's like the league doesn't want to deal with Calvin Johnson, one of the greatest players of all time, coming out and saying like, yeah, this team, I think in my eyes, robbed me of my money. You think Roger Goodell wants to hear that? You think Roger Goodell wants to know that there is a team in his league that's worth billions and billions of dollars that doesn't have the same exact shit as most high schools potentially have in the same state? I mean, in different states. It's just like, that is not something they want. So every time I bring it up, because Evan is coming on, a bunch of Bengals fans, doofuses, tweeted me like, oh, I bet he makes an indoor practice facility joke. It's like, it's not a joke, dude. Like, this is me.
Yeah.
This is actually me trying to help you out, motherfucker. Like, hey, I think your owners should be doing more for your team and for you as a fan because of how much you have dedicated them. Blind loyalty to these people, which I appreciate. I respect that whole thing. You need those types of fans. But also, whenever I say something like this, I'm saying it because, like, hey, the league deserves better. And not just the league, the fans deserve better, everything like that. Just like Bezos getting into the league. Yeah. I heard some people say we're billionaire bootlickers for fucking talking about Bezos being good for the NFL. It's like, hey, richest dude on earth getting into my favorite league, good news.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to become a fan of that team, but a guy who has 2% of his net worth would be what it takes to buy an NFL team. Let's assume he's going to be giving a lot back to the league and to the game and everything that we love. That's good for the that's the type of shit that I think that we talk about that gets kind of misconstrued. Just like the Pittsburgh Pirates fans that were coming at me for telling them to sell the team. It's like, yo, team fucking stinks. And all the people, if you tweeted me talking about, oh, you don't even know anything about baseball. I don't. You know why I don't? Because the team has stunk for so fucking long. I decided not to be interested in it. And also, go buy a ticket. There was only 100 people at the goddamn game. If
That
you
can't ever happen.
You're hurting the team more by not buying tickets. And the MLB looks terrible. Pittsburgh looks like a terrible sports city with that entire thing. I feel like a lot of people that end up fighting against us, it's like, you're an idiot. Because we're actually on your side in this entire thing, but you're just blind loyalty.
No, we know more than you. We know about the prospects. We know where they went to college. We know how they hit in the minors. We know more than you, Pat.
I know you do, you Pittsburgh doofus, and I appreciate that you are a fan of the Pirates, but the thing that I know is the players that I do know, none of them play for the Pirates. You know why? Because maybe they're great in minor leagues, but if they're good in the majors, if they're good for the Pirates, they're fucking running away from Pittsburgh, or they're selling them out of Pittsburgh.
Yep.
It's just like all these things that we talk about on a regular basis, the Calvin Johnson thing, the indoor facility, this shit, it's like, I don't think we're saying like, hey, your team is bad, your players are bad, your fans are bad. All I'm saying is the leagues deserve better. The fans deserve better. That's a real thing. The fans of Cincinnati are a diehard loyal group. The AFC North ain't fucking around, has never fucked around. That is going to be a good group forever. You are dealing with 4 seasons in Cincinnati. It gets cold as hell over there. Let's assume your team will do more, work harder, do extra reps after practice, to hang out if there was an indoor practice facility there. So whenever we mention that, it's not us mocking the team.
No.
We're mocking the owners dealing of the team. It's like, you guys deserve better. Calvin Johnson, just pay the fucking guy. Like, you make the whole league look bad whenever you do that. You make Lions fans probably miserable and upset because they have to rekindle the entire conversation about it being bad. And then the Pirates thing, they should be dropped down to fucking AAA as a whole. They should be somebody else's AAA squad.
Yeah, I mean, not to change, but like the Pirates, when they saw 130 people showed up, the commissioner should have called them and been like, hey, you guys either, like, this can't ever happen again. Like, you need to sell the team right now. But also, like,
And I think it was Zambelli firework night.
oh, Jesus.
No
Guy
way.
couldn't even pump into the Paisan fireworks to get people to come by.
Jackie
Come
Moon
on.
had more people coming to the Flint, Michigan Tropics games.
That's right.
Indianapolis Indians were definitely getting more
people
people
than the Pittsburgh
yeah,
Pirates.
which is unbelievable. But when you talk about the NFL too, like all these teams, it's not really like the haves and the have-nots. Like all these guys are billionaires. They all have the resources to do this type of shit. Like, granted, Jerry's
And
team,
there's loans I think they're allowed to get from the NFL for different things.
exactly. So it's not like you can't really say like, oh, well, you know, like the Bengals, they can't do this. They don't have like the resources or whatever to do this. I mean, shit, look at Mark Davis. He's one of the only guys who's not a billionaire. They just, I mean, granted, you know, that's the taxpayers are paying for that big time, but I'm sure their facilities are top notch. Like, all these teams are owned by guys who have enough money and enough resources to make sure that the competitive advantage isn't massively different in a different city.
Well, and it's clear that some decisions are being made strictly for the cash
Right.
of the humans who own the teams.
Yeah.
Like that's happening in Pittsburgh. I think that's happening in Cincinnati.
Absolutely.
Well, that we talk about the coaches. That's why they won't even consider firing guys early, because then they're gonna have to pay him and pay someone else.
And they don't have a scouting.
they
They
have
don't
scout.
even have full scouting. I mean, it's just
Exactly.
like the who dat. No, who day.
Who day.
The who day. Sorry about who dat is clearly a case. I mean, that was clearly.
yeah,
You
but it's
knew.
right
You knew.
there.
Yeah, they do the whole
the same.
Who Day. But the Who Day fan base is a loyal one. Loyal fan base. And I respect and appreciate the hell out of it. And I think their players are tough as hell. But you can't look at that whole thing and just be like, oh, they're saving money so they all make more money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, it's obvious that is what is happening. It's like, I feel like if it's not us, then who?
Yeah. And
If not us talking about it, then who's going to talk about it? Because, to be honest, you know, it's just like EA Sports is in the game. We're the only media outlet that does not have a deal with them. Like, we don't get free codes.
Nope.
I'm not even in the fucking game. They've asked me to do it. I've said no. I don't want to be a part of it. I mean, that is legit because I've never played, to be honest. I'm not
Smart.
good at it. But we're the only ones. Yeah, you guys have played. There's a lot of guys in here that have played. A lot of fans have called in and played. We're the only ones that aren't really on an EA Madden payroll at this
Yeah.
point. So it's okay for us to come out and say, like, hey, y'all need to stop fucking over your fans. Like, you need to help them. I feel like that's a good thing of this show. I was attacked today by Bengals fans, though, whenever Evan Mcpherson was announced he was coming on the show.
Well, that's bullshit because you're not the one who started a GoFundMe for them to build a goddamn indoor practice facility. And you mentioned the fans. 2 years ago, a guy had to sleep above his bar till the Bengals got a win. It was like December 10th, and he was still living up there. I mean, it is ridiculous what they do. And clearly they don't give a shit because they would have built it. Now, if they come out on Sunday with a Bengal CGI walking around the stadium, that's a whole different story. At least then they're
Fox
trying.
tried to take us down for that.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, I mean, Billy's going to have to. Yeah, but I think it was Fox Sports gave us a strike for the Carolina Panthers, I believe. Wavy Davy also gave us a strike yesterday.
Whoa! No, what was that about?
Wait a minute.
I don't know. Our fucking whole show almost got taken down yesterday, though. I mean, us and YouTube had full. Whoa. We were told we were allowed. Whoa. Yeah. They don't know that. Well, I literally got a text from the creator of the fucking Panther.
Slow
Saying,
down.
thanks for the love. We also ran it on the TVs and the Jumbotron in the stadium, I was told by said creator of the fucking Panther yesterday.
Yes.
Thanks for giving us the love or whatever. And then they're trying Fox. I think it was Fox trying to take us down, I think.
That's bullshit.
Well, what if they own it? I don't know. I have no idea. Is that what we need to do?
But every Fox show is using stuff from Aaron Rodgers Tuesday.
Yeah, but only for 48 hours. Remember, we used their we
That's a
used
good point.
their thing. So
That's a good point.
for those
Tuesday.
that don't know, there's this rights game that happens. Okay, I guess in the real network game.
Ridiculous.
On the internet, it's like, hey, you give credit to somebody and then you just move on. Like, hey, this came from this person. This is why we're doing it. And we are an internet show. It's awesome. So whenever people would send us an email asking us to use a clip or whatever, we'd be like, yeah, fuck. Just give it courtesy credit or whatever. Sounds good. And we had built up, I think, a pretty good relationship. Yeah, you do whatever you got to do. Hey, you guys reacting to us getting a chance to react to whatever you say, which we're going to have to do today. Like, this is all good. It's all good for the sport. We don't care. Just give, obviously, hey, this is from youtube.com/the Pat McAfee Show, and we'll be thankful. Then we asked for permission to use one Fox Sports one time, and they sent us this legalese thing back. Can't have for this amount of time afterwards. This has to happen. Can't do this. So we're like, all right, I guess this is. Hey, we didn't want to do this, but this is going to be the game. We're going to go ahead and copy and paste this thing and send it back. And hey, I feel like everybody has talked to us.
Yeah,
nobody's going to listen to the legalese we sent back. There's no way our copy paste send back to people is going to be listened to by anybody else.
I mean, yeah, we'll see. They did a good job today, but we'll see.
It was fantastic. It was very nice.
They
of
did a
these
good
people.
job today. Now, granted, there were a couple outlets that didn't ask and just ran it.
Which, by the way, I'm cool with. If as long as you give courtesy.
And they did.
I do not care at all. Like, I just think that's. I actually told a couple people on the internet that were emerging as pretty big people, and once again, I must say this. There are people that are much better at the internet than I am. Okay, I'm not saying anything. I just happen to be on the internet a lot for a long time. And I said to them, I'm like, hey, just make sure you give credit to people.
Yeah.
Like, hey, with what you're doing, just make sure you give credit to people. Like, that's something on the internet that you can just fall into a nasty hole. Like, it's just not something you got to give people credit. Like, even if you don't like what they said and you're about to bury them, like, I think it's an honorable thing to do is just give them credit. Like, hey, this is where this came from, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of the way it works. But these networks, the way we have to deal with, like, it's obviously coming from a lawyer, and then it's me and Ty typing the message back.
Yeah, they just treat us like a couple slapdicks, which is fine. I don't have a law degree, so I mean, I can't parse through the legalese, but we'll see. I mean, like I said, it was a good start today, but I think you're right. As the season kind of drags on here, we'll see what. I'm sure that there's.
I appreciate, that's what we're doing, by the way. You create stuff and hope that it drives everybody. That is kind of what it's for. We're very lucky that Aaron is comfortable enough to come on the show every single week, and I appreciate everybody at those networks. By the way, I'm not saying that, but there's a department at all these networks that is to obtain rights, and I wonder if Fox literally. Because I think there's Lad Bible. Remember they were running this for a long time. They were just buying up viral videos.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks after they had been released, they come to an agreement with whatever. That's called UGC, by the way, right? User-generated content. There's a lot of platforms that are UGC-based. They take other people's videos, they put them on there, cool caption. The whole world gets to see it, laugh, comments. That person got famous on that platform. They're happy about it. Boom, boom, boom. But then there was a time on the internet where people were buying these, going directly to and then they were sending cease and desist and then lawsuits back to people that posted it like 2 weeks ago.
Viral Hog was a big one.
Viral Hog, Lad. I think Lad Bible was a big one. Lad Bible was a big one. There was a couple others. And it was like, that was a time on the internet. And I think everybody on the internet was like, hey, come the fuck on. Like, this can't be how this goes.
Stealing.
And now, like, the networks, they all have, like, their departments that are like, listen, you can use our stuff, but make sure if that thing's on for 47 hours after it originally aired, we are fucking suing you for everything.
We will come find you.
We
You're
will
dead.
bury you. It's like, all right, dude.
We just
Well,
use
fucking
it.
use it. Yeah. We're just trying. We thought it was pretty cool. We're just trying to use it or whatever. But it's a wild world out here, and everybody's talking about the Aaron Rodgers interview yesterday, obviously, because Aaron Rodgers had a wild offseason. Then they go and play the Saints down in Jacksonville and get the doors blown off of them.
Ooh, yeah.
Bad. What will Aaron Rodgers do? A lot of people said Aaron Rodgers ain't going to show up on Tuesday. I got texts from people, friends of mine, that were like, "No way, Aaron shows up on Tuesday." I'm like, I think he's going to show up on Tuesday. Just like last year after they got blown out, he showed up on Tuesday. Just like any other situation that people thought maybe he wouldn't, he has shown up. He came in, I think he took all the blame, but he wasn't as fiery as people wanted him to be. Of
course.
I think that is what it was. He wasn't as upset as people wanted him to be. Now, there's still 16 games left. There is still a lot of things that will be sorted out on every team, not just the Green Bay Packers. But I think a lot of people said, oh, he looked a little bit too relaxed or whatever. I actually told him while we were talking to him, hey, people are not going to be happy about how relaxed you are right now. Like, is that something, am I out of pocket for telling you this? But this is going to be a reaction that you are, not taking any accountability, you're relaxed. And this was his actual answer yesterday. And somehow this did not get chatted about really by anybody, that were saying he looked like he was too out of it, not competitive or whatever.
No, I mean, I think it might be a freak out outside of the facility. I think it's just it's a good learning lesson for us. We can't play like that. We can't start a game like that. I feel like I said after the game, our energy level was a little bit low before the game. We got to do a better job responding to adversity. So, look, there's not much to say. We got our asses beat, by 35 points. We're all frustrated about it, but you just move on. We got 16 more to go.
So he literally addressed me telling him exactly how people are going to react. Hey, you just got to move on, dude. What do you want me to do? You want me to cry about this? Spilled milk? What do you want me to do, dude? There ain't nothing to go. I got a chance to chat with him a little bit last night as well. I disagree with what everybody's saying about him not caring or anything.
Yeah.
Felt like there was some real fire in the text that I had with him last night, and I'm so thankful he comes on. But, man, they'll take one clip that we put out, and then they won't listen to the rest, and then they'll just completely go, look how relaxed and calm he looks in it. It's like, when has he ever not? Just for future reference.
Yeah.
When has Aaron Rodgers not really looked like that? I'm not 100% sure there's ever time other than when he's yelling at a ref, maybe.
Well, and last year when he came on and he was acting like that, people were praising him because he was lighting the world on fire. He was playing MVP football. Not that he's going to do that again. But what I've also realized too that and maybe I'm a little bit biased, but it seemed like there used to be a little bit of a gray area. There isn't anymore. People either love him or they hate him, and whether that's because of everything that happened in the offseason and then how he played on Sunday, there really is no one's kind of ambivalent towards him anymore. It's either
wow,
you love him or you hate him. At least that's kind of what it seemed like, which I'd never really seen before. But
what did you just say? Ambivalent?
Yeah, people don't have you have a very strong opinion on Aaron Rodgers one way or the other.
He's a heat-seeking missile.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is getting heat regardless.
And maybe it was always like that, but I don't know. I feel like the last couple weeks especially, it's really highlighted no one's just Aaron Rodgers. It's either I fucking hate this guy or I love this guy.
And a lot of people I see go on the internet going to bat for Aaron is have you heard him actually speak and do this whole thing? Because the narrative for so long was that he was a prima donna prick.
Yep.
And that's because a couple players, teammates, have come out and spoken about him in a certain way.
Right.
But it seems like for a long time those particular teammates got a lot of hype for what they say. And by the way, I would never doubt what Jermichael Finley's saying or Greg Jennings, I think, whatever. They have their reason to say their thing. But there's been, I think 50 other teammates that have come out and been yeah, we love this guy.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah, this guy just quiet, chill, just kind of does his own thing. Not quiet, I'm sorry, but stays away from the media and does his own thing. So kind of pick and choose. I guess you got to do what you got to do. But it'll be nice whenever they get a win over the cursed Detroit Lions.
Hell yeah. We made both those guys a lot of money, too. So
That's crazy, right?
A lot of money.
Out.
That's right. Joining us now is a man who's going to make a lot of money.
Hell yeah.
Okay, in his first ever NFL game, he had a walk-off. Some people are calling him Mr. Walk-Off. This guy only competes in NFL games if he has the opportunity to end the damn thing in overtime with his right foot. Absolute cannon of a leg. Coming out of Florida, I got a chance to watch him kick some balls, not only in games where he was just clearing uprights in college games, but also some work. I mean, he murders the ball. Him going to Cincinnati in the AFC North is going to be difficult, but I think his leg strength will be something that will continue to carry him and help him. Ladies and gentlemen, 22 years old, youngest player to ever win a Special Teams Player of the Week.
Wow.
Evan Mcpherson. Yeah! What up, child?
Hold on.
Hey, you're a child. 22 years old. You are a kid out there, and you look so calm, cool, and collected bombing that ball at the end. I am so incredibly proud of you, man. Congrats and welcome to the NFL, dude.
Thank you. Yeah, I get reminded by my age from Kevin Huber and Clark Harris all the time. They tell me that they could be my dad, and I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah, Huber and I got drafted same year. He's still doing it, obviously. And Harris is an absolute G. I absolutely love that guy. And I like that they snapped that thing and kicked it after Zimmer called a timeout. Was that a plan? Did Huber tell you guys, like, hey, even if a timeout goes, if that ref doesn't come, we're going to get a rep in there? Or was it like a little bit of a miscommunication there?
No, we planned that 100%. We know going into it, if they call a timeout, we're going to take a little practice kick.
Absolutely.
I'm sure y'all might have done that at Indy. A little practice kick never hurt anybody. You make it. You just know you're going to stroke the next one. You miss it, you kind of learn from it and come back and nail the next one. So.
Yeah, I think a mulligan is always good. I mean, it is always great. And so much so that they actually made it a rule, and that's what Zim was so pissed off about. So the refs, it depends on when they call timeout. That might be his fault. Hey, get it in earlier then. If you get it too close to the snap time and the ref can't get in there, you can get a practice kick. How'd you feel? You were stroking the ball. Seemed like you were so confident, so comfortable, so relaxed. Has this been an easy transition into the NFL football and the NFL game for you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's been a pretty easy transition. I mean, the uprights are the same width as college uprights. Hashes are moved in. Makes it a little easier for me, honestly, and the operation is so clean with Kevin and Clark. They make my job a heck of a lot easier than it really is.
What did you do? You played soccer. You have a cannon, and I assume you've gone to a lot of kicking camps, and there hasn't been a lot of fields that you've been on where anybody could touch you, right? That has probably been your life. I don't want to say I probably had a similar situation, but when I see a ball explode off your foot, I'm like, this guy murders the ball. Have you just always had a massive leg? Was that your gift in soccer? And did you know you were going to get into football, or did a football coach see you slam a soccer like, hey, pal, you want to take 3 steps and make a bunch of money, or do you want to run 10 miles and make a bunch of money? How did that whole process come about?
Yeah, no, I mean, I probably, like a lot of kickers, started out playing soccer super young age and played it my whole life. But I didn't really start kicking until my older brother. He started kicking when he was in 9th grade, so I was probably in 5th grade, and I thought it was pretty cool. And then he got a scholarship offer to Louisiana Tech to go play. And so that's kind of when I really saw that there was more, I guess, after high school if I wanted to work hard and really train and get good at kicking. And so that's whenever really, I guess you could say, put my head down and started working to get as good as I really could. And, I'm just super happy that I picked this whole kicking thing up.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine a better, I guess, spot to be, honestly.
Yeah, it's working out thus far. I mean, there's going to be a bunch of adversity that you're going to have to get through, and there'll become, mental toughness tests all the time. You pass the first one. Like, I'm excited for you to continue to go because you are so incredibly talented, dude. The ball, if you want to know what a big leg looks like, from the time he kicks the ball, see how fast that thing gets to the fucking net, okay? Like, there's guys around the league that they'll hit the ball and that thing's hitting the net quicker than everybody else. Like, it is just the way it goes. That ball seems like it is hitting the net immediately after leaving your foot, and that gives you a lot more space, by the way, because if the ball is going faster, you have less time for it to get off trajectory. You're an absolute weapon. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for the Bengals, and congrats on winning the AFC Special Teams Player of the Week. I want to ask you about a couple of your coaches real quick. Colt Anderson, has he ever say anything fucking stupid over there or what?
No, I love Colt. He'll mess with me every now and then, but he's one of the guys that kind of hypes me up. He's kind of my hype man, and every time we talk about somebody, he's like, how do you think this guy is? I'm like, yeah, he's pretty good. He's like, you're better. So he's been good to me. So for
those that don't know, Colt Anderson was my PP on my punt team for like 4 or 5 years, I think. He's the Montanimal, this guy.
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, he's the Montanimal. He's an absolute legend. And Darren, still special teams coordinator over there?
He's still doing it.
How's
Probably
the hair?
best to do it.
How's the hair?
Hair slicked back, perfect, not moving. Darren's been great for me, just learning from him. He's probably what you say he's doing it the longest out of anybody right now.
Yeah, he's been around a long time.
Yeah, so just learning from him has been great. We'll see how long he's going to be in this coaching thing, but I hope he's still here when I'm still here. Hopefully 10 years from now.
My first conversation with him, he told me to never punt a football again. And if you want to remind him of that, obviously since then, he and I have built up a great relationship because we played the Bengals every year in preseason. But at the Senior Bowl, I'm there as a kicker. Has anybody ever been able to do both in the NFL, Pat? He said to me. I was like, I don't know. He said, no, they haven't. Okay. And you're at the Senior Bowl to kick field goals. If I were you, I would never punt a football again. I said, thank you, sir. Very nice of you. And then he said, I'm going to try to get you in the combine. I didn't get in the combine. He runs the combine thing. And then I obviously get drafted to punt. We run into each other every single year. Great guy, big ass fucking brain. I love that man. I love Colt Anderson as well. And I'm so incredibly happy for you and the boys. The team over there, Evan, I know you're new, but kickers get a chance to observe a lot. Team meetings, practices, you're in the building, you feel it. What's the vibe in there? What is Joey Burrow like as a leader of that team? It seems like he is the picture-perfect guy that you would want to be leading the Cincinnati Bengals over there.
Yeah, I think just a good way to, judge this team is, Clark and Kevin says it's a different feeling than they've ever had. They feel like this group is as close as they've ever felt, and we're just a bunch of guys that love hanging out with each other, competing on and off the field, we got a whole lot of weapons with Joe, Jamar, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins. I could go on and on. We've got a lot of talent on this team, and I think the city of Cincinnati should be really excited for the first time in a while, because I think we have a pretty good chance of making the playoffs and hopefully making a run for the Super Bowl.
All right, I'll continue to try to get you guys an indoor practice facility too. I'll continue to try to give that thing a go for you. Evan, chill. You're not allowed to laugh at that. You're too young. All right, you'll get fucking fired for that. Go ahead, Todd.
Evan, playing in the SEC, you obviously went to some pretty crazy environments. First week of your NFL career, the Bengals have a rabid fan base. Did it feel any different when you were going out there in overtime to kick that game winner? Or when you got and kicked, does everything else kind of just fade away? Could you feel how big of a moment that was?
But I tell you what, I feel like I feel more confident in my kicking than ever, I would say, right now. I know I saw, kind of a replay of the clip, and they kind of caught me, smiling before the kick.
Yes, chilling.
Yeah, and so honestly, I feel the most confident I ever have kicking the football, and so just running out in the field, I kind of knew there's no doubt I was going to go in, and we're going to start the season off 1-0. So.
That has to feel so good, man. Mm-hmm. Hey, good for you, dude. I'm so incredibly happy for you. Congrats on the Special Teams Player of the Week in your first ever game. I have no idea what next week's going to look like, but I'm sure it's going to be a little bit of a downfall. Unless you get another game winner and just keep doing this thing, maybe 17 straight games, Player of the Week. I appreciate you for joining us. Good luck over there, boss.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Hey, tell Kevin and Colt and Clark and Darren and everybody that we said hello over there. A lot of friends of mine in that building, and I've heard nothing but great things about you and your work ethic, brother, so I appreciate you.
Yeah, well, for sure. I appreciate y'all.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Evan McPherson. Hey, am I saying that right? Is it McPherson?
Yep, that's it. A lot of people get it wrong. They say McPherson. A lot of announcers, but it's McPherson, yeah. So.
As I was doing the video of you kicking that thing, and in my head, I see your name. That's how I speak. I see things written out in my head. And I saw your name, and literally there was a full I think it, and I went with Fearson. I'm very thankful that it was right. Could have very easily got it wrong, too. I don't want anybody to think that I was smarter than anybody else. But I'm happy to know that Evan McPherson, absolute legend. We appreciate you, pal. Thank you. Have a good one, Evan. Kid's 22 years old, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, Mitt, how old are you?
He's
22. That's 22 as well. Imagine Mitt walking out there and hit a game winner.
Yeah.
For Cincinnati. Hold the ball.
Yeah. Huber, too. Huber's up there.
Huber's the best.
Yeah.
Huber is one of the coolest humans of all time. He came through the office.
Yeah,
he was
friend of
with
the program.
Jake Elliott. I think he was with Clark as well. Clark, long hair, good guy.
Oh, yeah.
Clark, good guy. Love that man. They need a fucking indoor facility, though. I'm fed up with it. All right, we're getting on the 5-hour energy phone line on the other side. 1-833-4-McAfee. We'll chat with you then. I cannot wait for it. See you in Fort. He walks all the way up. Sleep!
Holy
Sleep! This is not the one that I saw.
Oh, good.
Oh, my God. Can we go back to the beginning, please? Listen, go back to the beginning. This guy, pause. That guy was sitting one section over in this blue polo shirt-wearing son of a bitch who's here with his friend, by the way. Right here. They're just having a good old day at the ballpark. Old buddy in the glasses back here. Oh, this has been fun. Look at this guy up here with the wife is maybe, the wife and the guy up there. They're kind of intrigued to see what's going on. Padres guy said, hey, listen, I've been locked in my fucking house for 13 months. I'm going to come to a ball game, and you're going to say dumb shit? I don't think so, pal. He walks over, 45 yards, casually, eyes ready to go, not fists ready to go, though. Just outside, no, calm. What you got a fucking problem, pal? People smiling down here. They know something's about to happen. We got a camera out. We would like to see the alternate angle from this particular person. But what a moment here. We beat COVID. We are back. Old buddy here needs to watch out for right hooks. Bow! Buckled. What, bitch? He said. What? And then he gets tackled by everybody else, backpedals. Everybody watches this happen. What a Jeez. What? He says. What, dude? What? What? Damn. Oh, my. What was said by who? Hey, as we get back into society, let's remember, people will punch you in the fucking mouth.
Yeah.
That opening kickoff in that Super Bowl you're referring to with the Colts, Hester takes to the crib. You having a little bit of a heart attack there?
Very bad decision, Pat, on my part. All week up in Indy, we're practicing, and we know he's their number one threat. They don't have a lot of offensive weaponry. They win with defense and special team. So for the whole week, we're in Indy. We're not going to let him touch the ball. We practice squibbing to the corners, bouncing the ball, high kick, pop-up kickoff, punt it out of bounds. Everything to not let him touch the ball. We have a chapel service, and the chaplain talks about David and Goliath, and he says, hey, the reason David beat Goliath, he wasn't afraid. Everybody else was afraid. David ran right at him, threw it right between the eyes, and it was over. And I started thinking, we're acting like we're afraid of Devin Hester. So I told the team on Saturday night, I hope we lose the toss. We're going to kick off. We're going to kick it right down the middle. When we pound him, they'll know we mean business. David and Goliath, it's going to be over. We kicked it to him. 12 seconds later, he's in the other end. He's looking at me saying, what idiot decided to kick the ball to Devin Hester? But fortunately, the last 59 minutes, the team made up for it.
Wait until they see the tone we set on the opening kickoff.
Yeah, that was it.
I bet you Vinatieri was sitting there.
I don't know if that's such a good idea.
Thank you. I'll tell you what, it's pretty cool. Roger Goodell gave me a big hug beforehand, too, so that's good, sir. Thank you so much. Shane, you drinking? Yeah. Cheers to you, man. That was a good one. That was good. I feel like it went pretty good. Oh, look at the phone.
This is the Pat McAfee Show on Sirius XM Mad Dog Sports Radio. We thank you for taking the time to seek out this small regional show that streams internationally. Here's Pat and the boys.
What are they saying, Zeke?
He's talking too fast for me here. If I just move my shoulders.
Yeah, let it roll.
Do the Z.
Boy, Z.
Do the Z.
Do the Z. Oh, okay, Cast Dog. All right, welcome back to the show. Big shout out to Evan Mcpherson, just joined us from Cincinnati Bengals, hit a game winner on Sunday in his first ever NFL game against the Minnesota Vikings. They were up like 45 points in that game. The Vikings came back after a 4th-and-1 decision by something just popped out over there.
Yeah.
Shout out Nick. So that Cincinnati Bengals team has been through a lot already.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They've been through literally a lot. The ability to withstand a counter attack, basically, of momentum. The Big Mo, they lost it completely.
Yes.
Once in Minnesota, it was a 4th-and-1 on your own 29, up 14. You get that, you go down and score, game over, we get it. You go 17. Instead, it sparked.
It comes and goes there, but I think we're good.
Instead, it sparked the Vikings.
Yeah.
Obviously leads to a Greg Joseph massive field goal, goes to overtime. And they're able to go back and forth in overtime. I feel like that's a big thing for that young team to grow and learn through, and also can rely on in the future when situations like this happen. Hey, you remember we had blah, 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 and we came back into, like, I think it's a big deal for them. And I liked hearing them say, like Kevin and Clark said, this team feels much different than any team we've ever been on, because Huber's been in the playoffs before.
Yeah, and Anderson's pumping them up, which is good. But I did just see Ricardo Allen out 3 weeks. They're starting safety, so that is a little bit of a bummer for the Bengals.
All right. So.
And it is a little disconcerting because I didn't watch that game super closely. I mean, I was paying attention, but then Lombardi comes on and says, like, hey, Joe Burrow was still running for his life.
Okay.
Let's make sure.
Want to know. And we were told McPherson said, hey, team's tight. We feel good. That means a lot more to me, I think, than anything else out there. As long as the team loves each other. As soon as the team stops liking each other, I think you could probably go ahead and mail it in. And mostly because when you're losing or you're going to lose, there's a lot of reasons to hate each other for.
Yeah.
So, like, do you win because you're happy, or are you happy because you win? Like that's kind of the old adage. And I don't know what it is. I just know that if a team's happy, normally they're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah.
And are they happy because they're winning a bunch of games? Maybe, but they're probably going to continue to do that because those bonds, those camaraderie, that's what you need to look at. I think personally that's the biggest X factor of any team.
Yeah, let's just make sure we block Khalil Mack this weekend, or else, we won't see Burrow for all 17 this year.
Khalil Mack might go eat.
Yeah, a little worrisome for the Bengals.
Yeah, but Joey Burrow likes that. He likes to take one and wake up a little.
Yeah, just one. Sure,
Yeah,
just one. But, 18 of them during the game. I don't know if he's going to be loving that too much.
This is new Bengals. All right. Speaking of new Bengals, is this a new home, same stripes for the Tigers situation with Urban Meyer?
Oh,
no.
Uh-oh. No, he's committed.
Now, hey, Michael Lombardi tweeted out a couple days ago. He said, hey, I got sources in Columbus telling me Urban might not love this NFL football team.
Yeah.
And then the USC firing, something's brewing, is what Michael Lombardi. Then he came on the show yesterday. He said, I have an NFL friend from Columbus, which would be, okay, that's both worlds there. Columbus, if you're in that football community, I think it is a pretty tight-knit community.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. We have a guy who's on our show every once in a while, especially during football season. He comes on like 1 out of every 3 shows or whatever.
Dirtbag.
Because he's got yuppie events he has to go to.
Shit.
Hate him.
Anyways, that person said, allegedly, to Michael Lombardi, hey, Urban doesn't necessarily love what's going on. He might get out. Him to USC seems like a plausible plan. The internet hit that.
Yeah.
The internet hit that because there's a lot of situations in the past. I guess 11 years ago or something like that, Saban told them that he was, the media, that he was not interested in going to Alabama. Hey, I'm not going to go to Alabama. Finished the year, went to Alabama. Petrino, down in Atlanta, hey, I'm not doing anything. He quit middle of the season.
Yeah.
Then you saw what happened with Urban Meyer and that Jacksonville Jaguars team going over to Coach Dave's squad over there in Houston and getting asses beat.
Yeah.
And him on the sideline looking miserable. Everybody talked about, hey, this is the first regular season game that Trevor Lawrence has ever lost in his entire career.
Yikes.
Urban Meyer had a cush job at Fox. Everybody will forever remain talking about his greatness as a coach. Every job that would ever come up, Urban Meyer's name was on it while he was still on TV. He goes down to Jacksonville. He has Khan build an entire fucking city around the stadium. We need new facilities. We need to do this. We need to really invest if we want to win, which, by the way, Khan, thank you for doing this, does everything and says, hey, yeah, we do need to flip this thing around. Let's continue to do that. I've already put pools in the fucking stadium. I'll continue to commit in this whole thing. One game, they lose. Urban looks distraught. USC fires their coach after a couple years. Everybody on the internet's like, Urban Meyer's going to USC. This is no question. This morning he was asked about it. I do believe we do not have the video. He said there's no chance, no way, no chance is what he said. And that's just such a fascinating thing because this has happened before. And we do know people will lie.
Absolutely.
But I don't think so in this case. I said this yesterday to Michael Lombardi whenever he told us the entire story. If Urban Meyer went down to Jacksonville and demanded, like hundreds of millions of dollars basically of renovations, and this is what I'll need, we need to do this, and allegedly the conversation was taking place for a couple of years between the two. If he went down there and had one bad game and lost to the Houston Texans and he was like, all right, I'm fucking out of here, that'd be a massive asshole move. Not that some people probably don't already assume that he's an asshole or think he's an asshole. I'm not all people. I'm just saying, I think that is a PR thing that is tough to get over in the modern world that we're in. Petrino, Saban doing what they were doing, that was pre-social media. That was before there could be an entire lineup of people going, oh, we hate this guy, loud every single day. We hate this guy. We hate this guy. This guy lied to us. This guy screwed us over. Every day people can say that now. Didn't used to be like that. If the news chose not to cover it or something like that, it wasn't going to be covered. So I assume the Saban Alabama thing, although we talk about it now on social media, back in the day, it was probably brought up a couple times, but it wasn't brought up in the mass magnitude that it would be now with the way social media is and the way the world is connected. I just don't think Urban Meyer has the lack of self-awareness enough to not understand that if he was to say, nah, I'm out after one game, it would not be a good look. I don't think Urban's going anywhere personally. I told Lombardi that yesterday, but anytime Lombardi speaks or anytime these people that have connections speak, we have to listen, I guess. But Urban Meyer came out and said, no chance. I guess we'll have to TBD this fucking thing.
Well, we were talking about this before the show, too. Like, you look at him in the past, like he's got the health issues and stuff like that. Like, there really aren't any expectations for him. Like, no one's expecting the Jags to win a Super Bowl within the next 5 years. If they stink the next couple years, but Trevor Lawrence continues to look good, like, that's a win. If he goes back to USC after this year,
you don't understand how competitive Urban Meyer is. He don't want to lose.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask, too, like, because I feel like when big-time college coaches go to the NFL, that's a lot of times, would you say that's ego-driven? Because they're like, hey, I am one of the greatest college coaches of all time. There's no reason I can't go do this in the NFL. But at what point in the NFL do you get there and it's like, oh, shit, like maybe I can't do this?
Hey, let's ask Chuck in a second hour. We'll have Chuck Pagano, who coached in college and in the NFL. We'll ask him, like, is it a desire to always want to be at the highest level? Or is it, hey, I'll be remembered as one of the greatest college coaches of all time. I'd also like to be remembered as one of the greatest NFL coaches of all time. I'm not 100% sure. Let's go to the 5-hour energy phone line here before hour one wraps up. Let's go to Nate in Nashville. Nate, what's going on, pal?
Pat and the boys, it is great, and it's an honor and privilege to speak with you today.
No, the privilege is all ours, Nate. What do you want to talk about, pal?
So the Rams and Bears game, there was a penalty on a touchdown, and the penalty was assessed on the kickoff. Does that affect your decision-making as a kicker? And do the teams have a choice to, like, put that on the extra point to get a little closer for maybe like a 2-point conversion or something like that? What happens there?
Yeah, Nate, I believe now, I don't have the rule book right in front of me, but they can either assess it on the extra point or on the kickoff, depending upon what the penalty was. And most teams do it on the kickoff because it's either going to help the team either hit a touchback from the 50 if they have to, or you can, if you have a kicker that can hit it high, you'll be able to pin somebody deep in there, just like a punt would be able to. That's a very difficult kick, by the way. I was not able to kick it. I was not able to kick a short little blue pie ball, and I think it's because of my lack of flexibility or whatever. There are some guys that are very good at it. And then obviously, if you're going to be the return team and you have the chance to take that thing 15 yards back and they got to kick from the 20, that's a game changer. That's at least one first down, almost 2 first downs you're getting, because it's not going to be a touchback. Maybe you get a chance to run that thing. If you see a kicker hit a touchback, though, off of a penalty, that's a guy.
Yeah, it's a big ball.
I've seen that before. I've seen a guy do it before. I'm like, all right. will somebody test that gorilla for drugs? I don't know how you do it. But that's all just depending upon how the coach plays the thing, Nate. Some people are big field position people. Some people are just, let's just get past it. It doesn't matter. Let our offense on the field. Hour 2's on the other side. We can't wait for it. MCDC name tag then, because it's a long time. ACDC. Do you hate it? Do you love it? I feel like we potentially offended you after finding out you're a diehard Metallica guy and we call you MCDC.
No. Listen, I love classic rock as well. So. I don't strike you as a numbers guy.
Yeah, whenever I heard you, I was just like, you know what? I'm not 100% sure this guy is just going to be listening strictly to the analytics guy. I just kind of a feel I had.
I got through addition and subtraction. Look, the alpha comment was really, I wasn't directing that just at myself. I was saying that's Brad too. Brad's an alpha. That's our coaching staff. I mean, let me say this about our coaching staff. One of the reasons I made the hires that I did with these guys, I know you'll probably end up asking this, was because just coming out of this COVID, I wanted to make sure we had more flexibility with the roster. And if these coaches need to play maybe a couple of games, so not everybody's thinking that way.
All right, it seems like every 3-4 years the Lions get a new head coach. It seems like the rebuilding process has been happening my entire life. 26 years old and I've never seen a playoff win for the Detroit Lions. So I want to know how you and your coaching staff plans to make this one different.
Yeah, look, first of all, I think I love Foxy, man. I tell you what, I love the optimism that he brings. Look, I would say this, to me, the short answer is Sheila Ford Ham. If you want hope, she's the one who's bringing the hope. Because I had put serious thought into this as I was hiring my staff. I was thinking about hiring you to see if you would like to be, our special teams coach. And then I thought, you know what, I know you doing this radio, it softened you up a little bit. I chose not to. All right, I hate to say that, Pat. I needed to just let that be known.
Well, I want to let you know, true alphas know when to hang them up. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Campbell. You have got to experience so many things, both as a businessman off the field and on the field. Is there a moment when I ask this question and pops your mind, like, what's the craziest shit you've ever seen in your entire life? Because there was a time there where it felt like you were just getting dropped into insane situations and the world was like watching you do things. Man vs. Wild, you and that Bear Grylls guy, fucking electric. That was maybe the most electric shit I've ever sseen. Is there anything that you think of whenever you think, like, what's the most ridiculous thing you've been a part of?
Probably some of the most ridiculous shit I ever been a part of was, I had got the restaurant which I'm in right now, and when we first got it, I would come in here and I would clean up and go outside in the front, sweep up, make sure everything looked nice and shit. And one morning I got up here and I noticed, like, damn, this is a funky ass smell. And I looked, to the side of my front door, and it's a big ass pile of shit. And I'm talking about human shit.
Yeah,
and it's right on the side of the door. So I was like, somebody done came and popped the shit right in front of the door. Like, oh, this shit is crazy. Like, I can't be in here serving food. Motherfucker come walk in and they smell straight ass cheeks when they come in there. Like, I don't think that's the restaurant I need to eat in. So, man, I get the water hose and I'm hosing it down. And, I see, we got a couple, dolphins that usually walk back up in front. Hey, man, did you do this? Like, oh, no. So, one of them owned up to it. I said, look, man, check it out. So you don't do this no more. Look, you come by here, we get you we get you a broom and, you help us, we help you. You feel me? And, we put together a little, I put a proposition together for him and I ain't cleaning up shit no more.
It's a win-win. It's a win for everybody on that one. Hey, one of your former teammates. Yeah, hey, everybody wins. You're helping the people, man. That's awesome. That's why people love you. But hey,
one of them owned up to it. Just a line of questioning. The line of questioning.
His name was Willie. Willie owned up to. Matter of fact, he just left out. He's saying, sweeping up. He's like, hey, what's up? Oh boy, I've been looking for you. You feel me? Okay. Yeah, we bust down together up in the front of the restaurant to get it all cleaned up and everything.
Hey, you're helping people. Hey, Willie went from shitting outside to working inside. Let's go.
Yeah. All right.
Let's go, Willie. Let's go.
Give it up for my boy Willie, man.
How are ya? I'm Roman, a men's health brand that can dance very well and make you the best you possible. Are you suffering from male pattern baldness? Dahn, we got something for that. Herpes. See ya. Premature ejaculation? Gone. No more coming too quick. Allergies as well. And that's not all. We have clinically tested supplements for everything, including erectile dysfunction. Come on! Bye-bye! GetRoman.com/Pat. Be the best you possible.
The Pat McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we can talk about.
Speaking his mind.
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
While being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, beautiful people. It is hour 2 on this Wednesday, September 15th, 2021 years after zero. This hour, we'll get coached up by Chuck Pagano and talk about a bunch of stuff. Woo! How about it? We didn't address this in the first hour. I don't know how we didn't do it. The cowboy hat is sitting upside down right over there.
Oh, no.
Yep. The chair is empty. And although at Bubba Gumpino is in here and Hammer Dahn is being represented in the office, Diggs had a close contact test positive for COVID-19. So we are currently doing everything that we feel is right because we don't really have our own protocol. We've all just kind of stayed away from each other for the last 18 months through this entire thing.
Yep.
We've been able to manage it pretty good. So I'm telling him, hey, you got to get to the end of the week. Then if you have a negative test over the weekend, you're back Monday. He feels good. I think he's completely okay. I think he'll be doing Hammer Dahn from his house alongside Gumpy. We're still giving out winners. We're still having a good time. T's and P's to Diggs' immune system. Hopefully, even though he had a close contact, catch COVID, hopefully his immune system says, you know what, we ain't getting COVID again, and he'll be able to battle that thing off. We miss you, Tony.
Good luck,
Tony.
We miss you, COVID Cowboy.
Not the cowboy.
Yeah, the Cowboy. The COVID Cowboy might be hopping right back up onto that COVID horse again, I do believe.
He will right
I
again.
thought he had the antibodies.
Well, the antibodies, I do believe they are on a shot clock, and I'm not sure if those things are still antibodying for him. I mean, I guess we're going to find out at this particular case. And to be clear, I am a guy who's pretty honest with somebody who, you know, I work alongside and works for me. I said, hey, feels like you're probably going to get this thing.
Yeah, 9 months later.
Feels like you're probably going to get this thing. Like, hey, I don't love this, but with the close contact and also the stories I've heard from potential other people that were in the area where he was, it feels like Tone's going to have to go through another battle. He has not tested positive. He has only tested negative, but the incubation period and all this, who knows? Nobody knows anything about it. I just want to let Tone know, hey, we miss you, pal. We
Miss you,
Tone.
Tone.
I miss you, Tone. And you know, this just comes after he lays out his 5 pillars of life, too.
I know.
Yeah, it's a real bummer.
What's that all about? Faith, family,
What?
football,
What?
his job,
What?
and his betting record.
Well,
right.
And it might benefit his betting record if we remember anything from the last time he was in the COVID cave, which he's not in at the moment, but he is in a little incubation cave, so maybe he will figure it out.
Yeah, there is an incubation period where he is potentially hanging out in the pre-COVID cave, you know, and I'm hoping that he doesn't end up with COVID, but you're right. The last time this dude had to battle against COVID, he went into a cave, nobody talked to him, not even anybody in his family, just kind of locked him in there, and all he did was just go through FanDuel Sportsbook all day, every day, and he became the greatest gambler on earth on the other side of of it. So much so that we literally started a show daily because of it. It was like, we should be taking advantage of this. And we did. We reaped the benefits of Uncle COVID penetrating Tone Diggs 9 months ago, all offseason, betting on sports we know nothing about because he and Gumpy on Hammer Down Every Day were just handing out winners. What if this reverses?
Goes the other way, you're saying.
I'm a positive person. I'm not going to say that.
He was 3-0 last night in baseball.
There we go. There we go. Keep it going, Tone.
Need him to stay strong because there are some whispers, some people pulling their daggers out in this office saying, hey, maybe I could step up.
No.
I'm not going to name names.
By the way, I did feel a little drama, reality TV type thing where it was like a vacuum of power happens now that Diggs is potentially not allowed to be here. I did get a couple people say like, hey, if you need me, to me it's like, whoa, not my show. Not my show. You need to be saying that to Tone, you know what I mean? If Tone gives you the go-ahead to sit in his saddle and take over his show, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. But I think most of that is potentially Gumpy said, hey, listen, if this needs to just be the Gumpy show.
Gumpy Dahn.
If this needs to be Gumpy up, Hammer Dahn, just for however long this needs to be, that'll be okay with me. Because Gumpy actually put out a Sopranos clip to Diggs this morning, and it felt like, is there a little bit of a team chemistry issue going on Hammer Dahn? It does feel like that is the case.
Me and Tony are thick as thieves, my friend.
Gumpy just got out of his COVID cave. Swap spit with Tone. Maybe Tone gets back in there now. That's good to know. They did not. Gumpy actually had to run the computer out to him, and I heard this was happening. I texted Gumpy, do not go hand to hand with this guy. I said, we need you not to be gone. And then I immediately remembered, Gumpy just got out of his house arrest. Gumpy. I think Gumpy can actually go into any of that close contact's house and just dance around and high five everybody. They told me I could suck COVID through a straw right now and I'd be all right.
Go lick a countertop at a McDonald's. You'll be fine.
Do whatever you got. That's what they told me.
Yeah.
See, I thought Foxy was saying that he could run Hammer Dahn, and that's what Nick was alluding to.
I do believe that is what Nick was alluding to.
There were some people saying, I thought this was a gambling show. We're supposed to make picks on a gambling show.
And then he gets COVID a couple of days. Potential close contact. He did not get it. We have to make sure this is clear. It's just close contact. Couple of them.
Right.
Couple close contacts. So we're just trying to be as smart as possible. And I think he is as well, by the way.
Yeah.
So shout out to Tone looking out for all of us. But there are people coming for that spot. And I want to let you know, Tone, while you're doing your stint here, ain't none of these fucksticks going to take your job.
No way.
All right, I want to let you know. But if somebody does get hot, we might have to add another chair. All right, because this is all about making money. That's all this is about. The Hammer Down Show is all about making money. What do you have back there, Gumpy?
Diggs has a saying he always says. He says, safety first, fun always.
Yeah, but let's not get too crazy or wild.
That's right.
That's right. All right, let's cover some other stuff. Tone, we miss you, pal. Josh Gordon, also known as Flash. Originally with the Cleveland Browns, then New England Patriots, then all the way over to the Seattle Seahawks, who has failed multiple substance of abuse tests. And once you get into the substance of abuse program, it is a nightmare. I will tell you that strictly because I completed the substance of abuse program, and there is not a lot of people that can say that because the substance of abuse program is set up basically for you to never get out of the substance of abuse program and for you to fail tests and do things like that. Now, to get suspensions, the amount of fails that you have to have and the things you have to fail for is next level. And I think Josh Gordon has openly admitted that he has had a problem with some things, and we've publicly watched that he has seen the downfalls and the pitfalls of his own mistakes that he has made himself. I believe it is the beginning of the Stephen A. Smith stay off the weed. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that is where that incredible gift moment comes from with Josh Gordon. So any alcohol or drug-related charge that you get, you automatically go into the program. That is why I was in it. He failed a test, I believe, then continued to fail numerous tests, and it kind of followed him around. And then he would get chances to get back on the field, and there would be glimpses of greatness. Like, hey, Flash is an absolute stud, and then something inevitably sad in his personal life would happen where he would end up failing, and we'd all watch the downfall and say, damn it, if this guy could just get right and get through this program and get on the field, he could help out a team immensely. He did so everywhere he went, in glimpses, in bursts. It seems like he has been able to get through whatever the NFL was trying to put him through. Not going to be easy. That is going to be a very difficult rehab process, whatever they will. They will test him everywhere. They will have him meet with counselors. He is allegedly through that, waiting on Roger Goodell to give him the stamp of approval, and then he's going to be back in the NFL. Welcome to the Indianapolis Colts, Josh.
Whoa.
Okay.
Hey, get that guy on the Colts stat. I have no idea what he has left. I have no idea how many teams will be interested in bringing in Flash. I assume there'll be a couple. If you have two, you have a potential bidding war. I don't know how much he's going to be paid. It'll probably not be a lot. Get Josh Gordon's ass on the Indianapolis Colts. It's a great city, great culture. Hopefully everybody will be able to keep him, on the right path that he wants to be, that he is committed to being on, to be a great football player. And I'm happy for this guy. They took the marijuana suspensions out of the NFL. I think that kind of opened the door for Josh to potentially get back in there. The rules are different now. The world's different now. Bring Josh to the Indianapolis Colts and let's have some fun. Now, can he play football still? None of us know.
TBD.
He was in the fun fucking football league.
Fan crazed football.
Yeah, that one, the fun football league there. And I don't know if he played or not, but he was announced to be in there. I think he caught a touchdown, maybe. A game-winning touchdown in there. So he can dunk on YMCA guys. We saw that on Twitch, I believe. Yep. I assume at the level of freak athlete that he has always been. In the lack of hits, right? Because even though he's missed games and checks and inevitably a lot of money and wealth that could have changed his family's outcome, and I assume those are the things that he's being talked about in a lot of these counselor things like, hey, a couple of your decisions have really affected a lot of people, not just yourself, but let's get you fixed there. I think if he's got anything in the tank left, let's bring him to Indy. We need another weapon because Pittman looked good.
Yeah.
Paris took a big shot. He's still healthy.
Yeah.
But if Carson Wentz can get protection and we get enough weapons around him, we can go on a run with that backfield, even though Russell Wilson embarrassed us this past week.
Yeah, and the message with Josh Gordon has always been when he is locked in and he's not, being affected by the outside noise, he is unbelievable at football. So if the Colts could get him, that would be huge, especially when you add T.Y. back with him, Pittman, and Paris Campbell.
And Jack Doyle.
And of course.
Pascal.
Yeah.
All he does is catch fucking touchdowns. Everybody talks about that, Chris Ballard told us, and he caught 2 this past weekend. Yeah. It's just... This is a sad story that could have a happy ending. Because I think we've all realized that he has wasted a lot of his life, his career here, just making decisions. And once again, I am somebody that potentially will smoke dope whenever I'm in a state that it's legal.
Sure.
Okay? And I was potentially somebody that did inhale cannabis while I was in the NFL and playing, right? I potentially. I'm not going to say that I definitely was, but potentially was a part of some 20 blunt sessions whenever I was in the nice. There are some things that, if done properly, I think everybody's seen the studies, and marijuana and cannabis can cure so many things, and it's so much better for you. And there's enough research, even though the old whites will get on TV and say, I haven't seen enough research. You have. You just haven't opened your eyes. I think we're on the precipice of it being a very much different conversation about cannabis going forward. Thank God, by the way, we're finally there. But everybody knows the rules. And I think that's kind of what people were saying about Sha'Carri Richardson, right?
Yeah.
Like even Usain Bolt said, hey, immediately upon getting into this game, you're told, hey, this is what you can't do. So although that I feel absolutely terrible that something that is so small, something that is actually better for you than what the other options are that are legal, is something you get punished for, and there is also the thing where we have to admit, he fucked this up. Hey, there's been a lot of guys that enjoyed smoking weed that have played in the football. There are certain ways you have to do it. There's certain ways you can't do it. But once you get in that substance of abuse program and you're getting tested 8 times a month randomly, it's impossible to fuck up at all. And they'll keep you in there for the rest of your career. So this could be a very happy ending here for a guy who has obviously had quite a sad start to his NFL career thus far.
Once you graduate from that stuff with him, even though they got rid of I guess they're not testing for weed, but he can't smoke weed, can he? If you're a repeat offender like that, he can't smoke weed or drink ever, can he?
So what was the wording? How did they word it? Let me read that thing again. Because I was trying to, NFLPA determined Josh Gordon has successfully completed his NFL monitor treatment program and is recommended to the NFL that he be reinstated. So does that mean he got out of the substance of abuse program? If he got out of the substance of abuse program, congratulations to him, by the way. It is not easy. Once again, it is not easy at all. They will catch you if you have a drink. They'll figure it out, find out, and try to test you immediately afterwards. You only have 4 hours to take the test, so if they show up at 6 a.m. to test you and you don't wake up until 11 that day, that's a missed test because you had to get the test completed by 10. There was probably 8 months after I got out of my 27-month sentence. Okay, for 8 months in the morning, I'd be scared to go pee because I thought I had to save pee. It was literally it changed my entire view on life almost, And it obviously helped me out. I think inevitably in the end, it helped me out. I was probably on a path of self-destruction with how much I was partying and having a good time. And I don't think it was necessarily going to kill me. I mean, maybe I could have died a couple of nights, but the program helped me. Okay, now it was overboard. I think we could have ended that thing maybe 12, 13 months earlier, and it still would have helped me, and I would have realized that whole thing. But once you get out of that, there is like a ripple effect afterwards where you like, I was literally like scared for 8 months to potentially be in a photo with something or to waste a pee. Like, oh, they might call me here and I might have 4 hours. It's just, you live a much different life. So if he got out of the program, he's back to how everybody else is being tested, which is an annual test. PEDs is all year round. It could come randomly. HGH is a blood test, but we've heard nobody fail that.
No, never.
And whenever that got instituted into the NFL, I think it was because the NFL was like, oh, we have a test for this. And then there was an entire NFLPA, NFL investigation about, well, what's the baseline for the HGH? Like, oh, well, this is what a human is. Like, okay, is a human HGH level the same as an NFL player's HGH level? And who are we going off of? And how do we know? And well, fuck, we're still going to test for it. And I've heard nobody fail that test, right?
Can't.
Yeah, I don't think anyone ever has.
Ever. And they say, well, the only way you can get it is through blood. And it's like, yeah, but if you get the blood and the HGH level is high, I assume the player and the NFLPA are just like, that's what my natural thing is.
Yeah.
You know nothing about it. And they're like, I guess you're right. Like, feels like your forehead's a little bit coming out like a caveman. It's always been this way. Okay. Feels like your joints are a little bit big. No, that's what my body, you should see my dad.
He's huge.
Same thing. We're all humans, but we're different. We're like snowflakes. You know what I mean? Each individual human is a little bit different than the other ones before. Fuck it. I guess you're right.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Don't be eating any of those horse steroids, though. We will find that shit. Just fascinating, the whole drug testing policy in the NFL. Josh Gordon was the face of it there for a long time. This could be a really cool ending to this whole thing. I enjoyed seeing him happy, by the way, at that fun fucking football league.
Oh, yeah.
It's cool.
That was pretty cool to see how happy he was, and then he caught that whole thing. I mean, I'm all about a good happy ending, but I think he would even come out and say, and I think it's like he fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And he can't do that, especially when you're getting an opportunity to work in a place where there's such an upside in there. And hopefully he's admitted all that, has faced all his demons that were driving him to do whatever. And now here he is on the other side, a much better player. Let's get him in a fucking Colts uniform.
Yeah, and I think he's only like, 28 or 20. I mean, he's still young. I don't think he wants his, last competitive football to be in the Fan Crazed Football League catching a touchdown. I'm sure he would love to get back into the league and kind of put on again.
Fan Crazed. Why am I Fan Crazed Football League?
I don't think that was the actual name of it, but I think that is what we ended up settling on.
I thought it was.
I thought that
fan controlled, maybe, because wasn't that the whole thing? They could pick the plays for the team on Twitch stream.
Did they do that? I don't remember.
I don't know how much they actually did it.
It was the FCF, the fan controlled football.
Fan controlled football. We did think it was fan crazed football.
That is where that Marshawn Lynch interview, which was awesome.
And by the way, Marshawn Lynch was going to go put his uniform on and play.
Take a shit.
I think he actually said, I'm gonna go take a shit and see if I can get 200 out here. So, because Marshawn was probably doing the same thing as Josh Gordon, looking at the players that were playing in that league and going like, I could probably dominate this.
This could be fun.
Yeah, that would be like an NBA guy who's kind of retired but still athletic, going to an LA Fitness or something. It's just, there's levels to this whole thing.
Yeah.
And there's a reason. And I enjoyed the spark that the old fun crazed football thing did. And I enjoyed that whole thing. But Josh Gordon did come in and just moss a guy.
Like if Kwame Brown went to the local YMCA, he would do what Josh Gordon did in the fan controlled football.
Hey, he's back, by the way.
Oh, yeah. All the way.
Kwame Brown is back. Welcome back, man.
He's the best.
When was the last time? We were still in Tampa, I think, the last time. I think we were still down in Tampa Bay because I remember we were going through the entire Kwame Brown, Stephen A. thing. It was in the Tampa Bay house because I remember walking through Antonio Brown's house now. He lives there.
Yeah, that's right.
That's where Antonio Brown, he lives in the house that we lived in down in Tampa Bay.
Golf cart.
And they fixed the golf cart for him. It was broken for us for 4 months.
It would have been nice to have that.
It would have been nice to get down to the whole thing.
Town Square down there.
Yeah, obviously the realtor did. And also the realtor charged us for a month and it was double dipping there for about
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we got fucked in the whole thing, but Antonio Brown's going to love that house.
Oh,
absolutely.
And I would not be surprised if he scores a touchdown every single week living in that house. A lot of good vibes in that house.
he probably
I
will.
bet the cable works in all the bedrooms now, too.
Well, for Antonio Brown's sake, I do hope that is the case because it was a nightmare. We'd go down there every other week and have no TV in any room.
We did take the TV with us, though, the one we bought.
Yeah,
Obviously,
good.
we should have.
As we should have.
Yeah. Pool was clean, too.
I mean, he's getting treated much better by this. Just from what we're seeing on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Martha is taking care of Antonio Brown in a much different fashion
No
than us.
leaves in the courtyard.
I mean, there's just these are all first world problems. But
You got to have the pool nice and clean for when Tiana Trump comes over.
oh my God,
no.
Nick,
Oh,
there's
no.
no reason for that. I completely forgot about
It's not
that.
the pool.
internet.
They're doing that in the jacuzzi.
In the jacuzzi,
All right.
did. smell
Anyways,
like
the
piss.
pool and the jacuzzi did look like piss when we lived there. And then all of a sudden there's a fountain flowing in that thing when Antonio Brown's down there. We kind of got screwed. But that's the way things are going to go. But I remember the last time we read through Kwame Brown's situation, I was walking out of that room and the door that was too small. I almost hit my head off while I was reading it. I remember, because I remember thinking, how did Kwame Brown ever fit in something like this? You know, I have no idea because he is back and he's going in. And this is one of those things that ain't nobody saying. I want to hear what Pat McAfee's thoughts are.
Yeah, true.
I'm going to go ahead and stay out. I'm just going to enjoy it as a fan like everybody else. Breaking news out of Cleveland, the dog pound. Ian Rappaport is reporting that the Browns coach Kevin Stefanski has told reporters that wide receiver OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., will not play on Sunday versus the Texans. He tried to go last week, didn't feel comfortable enough. Now the coach takes it out of his hands a few days prior. Okay, so last week there was a workout pregame. I think they showed him running with no shoes on the field at one point and then something else. Do we know what this injury is? The same thing as last year? Is this rehab still from the knee?
Yeah, I think it's still the knee.
Okay, so he probably is able to move, probably able to do his thing. Something had to have happened in that workout where he felt something. He was like, I don't know if today's the day. Now Kevin Stefanski probably talked to the trainers over there, and they're like, to be honest, if we had this 3 weeks, I think we'll be in a really good spot here. Stefanski comes out and says, hey, we'll wait for 100% OBJ to add him into our offense that has been much better since the last time we saw OBJ in this offense. It's a shame for everybody. It's an NFL fan. I love watching Odell Beckham play football. I assume Baker Mayfield will also enjoy him out there. Jarvis Landry would love it. Hooper would love it. Hunt would love it. Chubb would love it. I mean, that team, they are loaded. And if you can save OBJ to get back to 100% and not worry about any long-term effects, probably the right move, good move, but it is a bummer.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder if they'd also think like, hey, Texans are kind of riding high right now. We may just beat the piss out of them this week. We don't need Odell coming back and getting hurt before he's finally ready to go.
Hey, Houston Texans might not lose a game.
Oh, I know. Hottest team in the NFL, no question. Next to the Saints.
Next to the Saints.
Yeah.
Let's go to the 5-Hour Energy Phone Line before we get to a break here. Chuck Pagano will join us on the other side. A lot of things happen in the football, coaching-wise, for us to ask Chuck about. And this is what this segment is about. It's about, hey, Chuck, what the hell happened at the end of that Ravens-Raiders game? Like, who's telling you information, making decisions? You're on a half-yard line? Who decides, like, hey, we shouldn't jump off sides? We shouldn't have a hard count? Because literally Peyton, Eli, and Russell, as soon as they were on the half-yard line, all of them said, no hard count, let's just go for this. And then they do a hard count. Guy jumps offside. They end up backing up. They have to throw. They throw a pick. They go from winning the game to, oh, shit, we just blew this thing completely. It went from a half yard to obviously, 6 or 10 or whatever the hell it is. And it changed the game completely. Is there people in your ear asking you and telling you about that stuff? As a defensive head coach, is that something you chime into the offense? I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that Chuck, since he's been there, done that. And Chuck, by the way, I think he would even say, I didn't make all the right decisions either. There's a lot that happens in there. I think we're lucky for it. I can't wait to talk to Chuck before we get to him and the break. Let's go to Dylan over there in Iowa on the 5-Hour Energy phone line. Go to 5hourenergy.com. Use promo code McAfee. Get 10% off your order of any of the 15 beautiful flavors from 5-Hour Energy. This sale ends September 31st. You got 16 days to get on that thing. We should not hammer as many 5-Hour Energy shots as we do in this.
No, they're so damn good.
They do taste much better than the originals. If you haven't had it since the OG 5-Hour Energy, it's a much different ball game now. The aftertaste is much better, and the energy is still there. Shout out to 5-Hour Energy. Shout out to you. Let's go to Dylan in Iowa. What's up, bub?
Hey, shout out Pat and the boys. Shout out Ty, go Hawks.
Hey, go Hawks, baby.
I just want to talk about Kirk Cousins and Mike Zimmer. Came out that for the first time since 2018 when Cousins joining, they both sat down and watched film together.
That doesn't feel like that's good news. Now, Mike Zimmer is a defensive coach. Kirk Cousins is obviously a quarterback. And I think whenever we had a couple guys on early, they were telling us it was like two different teams. You remember that? I think Thielen came on, and it was the first training camp with Zimmer. And Thielen had I think he had a T-shirt on in practice. He had some tights on. I'm like, hey, I thought Zimmer would be much tighter. You look like you got some good swag out there. And I think he said, hey, it's like two different teams right now almost battling. The fact that Zimmer and Kirk are maybe watching film for the first time so they can see the game through the same eyes for the first time since 2018, obviously this is good progression in the relationship, but I think that would alarm a lot of people, myself included. I just assume the head coach and the quarterback are always tied at the hip. And that is why anytime you hear that there's a little bit of a disagreement, it's like, well, that's not going to work out then, because the head coach and the quarterback are the two leaders of the team. Head coach is telling all the other coaches our mission. in. Quarterback is setting the tone for all the other players on the team. Those two, I think, got to be on the same page. I guess they really haven't, especially after what Zimmer was saying about Kirk as well.
Well, and that was the quote that I saw that came out from it. I didn't read the whole thing, but they basically said did you guys disagree on anything and or have differing opinions? And he basically said yeah, Kirk's got differing opinions on a lot of stuff. It was just on Twitter, so I don't know if it was tongue in cheek and he was meaning it as a joke, but it read hey, this guy still won't get fucking vaccinated. Yeah. It did seem like there's still dissension there.
I'll watch film with you, yeah. You better be around a fucking plexiglass.
Yeah. Fucking mask on.
You put your little search thing on. Yeah. But I think that's people watching film, especially film nerds, getting to watch together, I think is a big deal. I think the film people, if you watch film with somebody, that's a big ass deal. If you do remember, Peyton told Orlovsky, get the fuck out.
Right.
Hey, you're not watching film with me.
Yeah, alone.
But Peyton and Tom watch film together. Sure. Peyton Clyde watch film together. Peyton, his quarterback room, watch film together. I assume Tony Dungy, Jim Caldwell, they'll watch film together. But that's a big deal, watching film. I think. I'm not 100% sure. I was a film watcher, but nobody watched film with me because what I'm watching does not matter. But I think, in that world, that's a massive deal. They always talk about Tom and Bill Belichick having a meeting every week, basically. And Tom asking Bill questions, Bill asking Tom questions. And they didn't get along, but they still had those big, long meetings in Bill's office. They're always in those mic'd up, do your job segments where there's clips from back in the day, them sitting on the opposite side and dissecting an entire team, basically. That's a big deal. And we have a perfect time here on the other side. We'll ask Chuck Pagano about this. If he and Andrew Luck ever watch film together. What does that mean that they're watching film together? Does that mean they're on different pages? Or are they trying to get on the same page? We'll ask him about that and so much more. Can't wait to chat with the Italian stallion with hopefully better internet than last week. Yeah. Chuck Pagano in 4 minutes. Coach is up. Chuck, we'll see you then. All the hard work throughout my entire life, whether it was driving me to practice, to go to work, the coaches that invested hours in me, everything I have done to get to this point. I got a whole town, a community, a family, a tribe of people watching me potentially live out my dreams that we all thought was going to happen. And when I get to Rock, I get a chance to carry 8 motherfuckers that are playing for a team that is in the city that I went to college in. I carry 8 people, have the biggest moment in my football career, maybe make a team, if not with the Colts, somewhere else. Hey, that guy's got juice, let's do it. Change the entire direction in the course of my family's life. I can't be excited though.
No.
Don't even think about it.
Don't you fucking dare.
Are you kidding me? All that just happened and everything I just said there and more is potentially happening in that one play? Don't even fucking think it. Get your fucking ass back in the huddle. You know Barry Sanders? Hey, Barry Sanders, he'd score a touchdown and he would just hand it to the ref and then he was gone. Why don't I? Well, Barry Sanders also won the Heisman, right?
Yeah.
It was also the all-time leading scorer in this whole thing. Barry Sanders was unbelievable, worked his ass off. Let's not get crazy. And Barry Sanders had the ability to act like he had been there before because Barry Sanders, by the way, had fucking been there before. And maybe Barry Sanders, the way he goes about business isn't how everybody goes about business. Maybe there's a lot of different stories, a lot of different situations, a lot of different life events that lead to somebody acting differently than somebody that just acted, almost robotic while being one of the most exciting and electric players in the history. Got nothing but love for Barry Sanders. Let's not get crazy. But there's a lot of people tweeting, act like you've been there before. It's you think this motherfucker's been there before? This dude just carried 8 people and maybe changed the entire life. He can't be excited. Aren't we a game of emotion? Aren't we a game of excitement? Why is this a fucking penalty? Hey, Goodell! Hey, eating your M&Ms, sitting on the chair, being cool. You became my commissioner. You weren't my commissioner when, hey, you dance, you're fucking out. Your sock slide, you're fucking out. We don't want anything. We want robots, no emotion. Everybody hated you then, Raj. All right, everybody hated you. And nobody understood why you're trying to take the fun out of the game. You're doing it because you want to be able to just pluck and play. You didn't want to have players be brand names because then you could replace them easily. Okay, I understand the business side of it, but we all agreed, the tribe has spoken, that the game's better when people are excited. Some things are too much. All right, some things are way too much. There were some dances that happened that looked a little bit more like basketball, where we're all like, there's no way that can happen with a full line dance. We get it. There was some. But it added to the game. The excitement added to everything. Now taking away this and making it a point of emphasis. And I'm not saying that there should be egregious, if something egregious happens, they should penalize them. Yes, please. It's not for the good of our game, not for the good of the league, not good for fans, not good for anybody. I understand that's going to happen, but a point of emphasis means, hey, we're cracking down on this because we don't want it to happen anymore. And why are we targeting that as opposed to targeting something else I'll never understand? My commissioner, Roger Goodell, is going to get to the bottom of this if Sam Acho doesn't do it first.
Yeah.
Every day is game day for these guys. It's showtime on the Pat McAfee Show.
Now that the world's opening back up, there are so many new thrills on the horizon. And whether you've been in a relationship for years or just getting started or are excited to get back out there and meet new people, when the moment comes, you want to be ready.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Roman ready. Ooh. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for erectile dysfunction, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. Roman ready equals confidence. The confidence that you know you can rise to the occasion in the moment. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, it ships to you free with 2 days shipping, and the whole process is straightforward, convenient, and discreet.
Love that.
Go to GetRoman.com/McAfee today, and if you're prescribed, you'll get 50% off your first month of erectile dysfunction treatment.
Is that 50%?
50%, yeah. Half.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Half.
Half.
You ain't got to pay. Now, is the glass half full or half empty? In this particular case, it's obviously half full, but you don't have to pay for the half that's empty.
Nice.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
50% off. You go to GetRoman.com/McAfee. Make sure you're ready to have confidence and control this football season. Be ready. Roman ready. Normally, by the way, erectile dysfunction is also a sign of something else that could potentially be going wrong with your body. So whenever you go to GetRoman.com/McAfee and you talk to a medical professional, they'll be able to figure that out and hopefully be able to take care of your problem as well. And don't be embarrassed. I believe it's like 30% or something like that of men over the age of 30-something potentially experience it. Once again, they just want to help you out, make you better, make you ready. Roman ready. Joining us now is a man who's always Roman ready, dude. Hell yeah. I ain't never seen a guy more Roman ready than this guy at all times. He coached in, I assume, high school at some point, college, the NFL. He was my head coach. He was defensive coordinator for the Bears, the Ravens, you name it. He's been everywhere. I can't thank him enough for joining us each and every week. Can't wait to hear the insight and information he drops on us from his home in beautiful Idaho with great internet. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Us Up segment with head coach Chuck Pagano. Yeah! Yeah! Oh, yeah! Good you look.
Let's go! Let's go!
Hey, look how good you look. I see you rocking that NFLPA Collegiate Bowl, too. That you got back into coaching, right? Coached those college kids, coached them up a little bit?
2018. Went in there and stomped the American team or the national team.
Yeah, no big deal. Either one, whichever one you were representing, fuck them all. Coach, great to see you. You look amazing. How was the weekend watching games? This is your first weekend as a retired coach, right? Watching games. Well, did you get antsy? Did you hear the national anthem? Did you want to get back out there? How was it?
It was awesome, especially with no stress. I could just sit back and pick apart everything that everybody was doing. Watch my brother's team. My little brother coaches at the Broncos, had a huge win over the New York Giants. So fired up about that. Amazing weekend of football. Absolutely amazing, and so much good stuff there. But again, I miss the relationship part, the competition part of it, but it's awful nice not having that stress.
Okay, so Sunday morning I woke up and I was going to hit the anvil, and I went in my backyard, and the trees were blowing sideways from the wind, and the flag was just straight out like this. And I was like, man, I am so thankful that I don't have to wake up on Sunday mornings, open the hotel window, and try to find a flag on top of a building and seeing that thing straight out and be like, well, today's going to be terrible. Okay. I like that, those stresses, those little anxiety moments not being in your life, so much better. I don't think anybody understands what a Sunday's like whenever you just like, I'm a fan all of a sudden, you know?
No, it clogs arteries. Takes years off your life. Especially, when I get you'd open the blinds, and check for a flag to see what the weather was doing, and I'd get a call from Pete Ward, and it'd be like, Chuck, I know it's raining and sleeting sideways, but taxpayers, paid for that roof to be open, and Jim's going to have the roof open. I don't think it's a competitive disadvantage. Nobody does, so that's what we're doing. I'd be like, the other great thing about that stadium is my first home game there in preseason, 1:00 game, right? Sun's shining, it's 1,000 degrees outside, and the sun's glaring down on our sideline.
Oh yeah,
and our opponents are in the shade. And I asked Johnny Scott. I said, what's going on here? I can't see. I'm blind. I can't see the field. Why are we on this side and they're in the shade? Oh, man.
Did you get an answer?
I'm telling you.
Did you get an answer? I remember you were trying to move.
Hey,
weren't you trying to move us?
It's only 100. It's only 106 on our sideline, and we checked the temperature on our opponent's sideline, and it's 75 degrees. we're good.
I remember.
I said, "Hey, boys, boys, hydrate up, man."
Yeah, I remember. And by the way, we had to have we had our equipment managers holding things over the bench. I mean, and the other side is literally just tossing sunflower seeds. And I remember, I think, and this might have just made its way into the locker room, and it might not have been real, but I think Chuck had asked, like, that should be our sideline. It feels like that should be our sideline over there. And then obviously there was a massive business conversation about the amount of money that's being paid to be behind our bench as opposed to the opponent's bench and this whole thing. And I think that was immediately when you knew, like, okay, being a head coach, there's some shit that you got to deal with. I mean, the pregame music, the sun, the entire situation, the roof. I mean, it is just a completely different ballgame. Let's talk about some head coaches in the NFL in this past weekend. Anything you saw that you were impressed with, like any coaching decisions from any young coaches that you thought was pretty good, or is everything you kind of expected? For instance, Urban Meyer, they got their asses beat down there by Coach Dave, and immediately afterwards, it's like, oh, he's leaving the NFL, he's going to go to college. How do you view that whole situation, and how does Urban, you think, get that narrative away from him? And if you were Urban Meyer and you were asked about this situation, would you say, no, there's no chance of me going to USC as well, knowing that there maybe is a chance, or do you think he's actually all in with the Jaguars at this point?
Well, the key there is when they asked him, in his press conference, and anytime you drop your eyes and you answer like this, and you don't look straight in there, he's totally committed to building that organization and rebuilding that program in Jacksonville. There hasn't been many guys in college football, successful coaches as successful as Urban Meyer. I mean, historically, he's got the best record ever of anybody in college football. But history tells us that a lot of those guys don't succeed in the National Football League. Nick Saban, the best of the best, the GOAT. Won't be anybody like him, win more championships. Steve Spurrier. You can go on and on and on. So he's going to have this narrative around him for as long as he's down there until he gets that thing turned around.
Why, Chuck? Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to go from college to NFL? Is it strictly because in college you can control everything? In the NFL, it's a much different ballgame. You coached in college at the U when the U was the U with a lot of personalities. You've been able to make the transition into the NFL and have success. What is the big thing you think on why some of those top college guys can't make it in the NFL from your perspective?
Well, there's a salary cap, number one. Yeah. Salary cap at some of those universities. I'm just kidding. No. I just think dealing with everything that you have to deal with at the professional level, especially the players, you can deal with college athletes probably a little bit different and communicate with those athletes a little bit different than you can maybe the professional athletes. Again, you mentioned it, Pat. There's a lot of things that are out of your control. I'm sure there's a lot of things that are out of Urban's control. You've got to be tight at the hip with your GM. You guys got to be in lockstep. You know, the three pillars that Jim always talked about, the owner, the GM, and the head coach. They all got to be singing out of the same hymnal, all those kind of things for that thing to be successful. And there's going to be some bumps in the road.
So whenever you think about Urban Meyer being uber successful in college and coming to the NFL and maybe losing and maybe not sticking around 4 or 5 years to build that program up, do you think about some of these teams that had high expectations and then just shit the bed week one? And like, how do you, like, we don't think Urban has any expectations in Jacksonville. Like, honestly, we let off with this. In Urban, we know everybody's uber competitive and everything like that, but people are like, he's not going to want to lose or whatever. It's like, Jacksonville, nobody's expecting Jacksonville to be good for 3-4 years, I think, personally. Now, they probably have different expectations in the building, but I think from an NFL-wide, nobody's really expecting it. There's some teams, though, that came out and laid an egg this weekend. For instance, Green Bay Packers. We talked to Aaron Rodgers yesterday. He's very relaxed. Hey, listen, one game, we got to look forward. He can't overreact because he knows if he does, one game leads to two. What's your message to the team whenever you lay an egg like that, especially opening week? It's not easy to do that opening week, but it's a long season still, Chuck.
Yeah, no question about it. And, you know, let's overreaction Monday, right? It's week one in the National Football League. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. We shouldn't sit back and judge all these guys and say, well, shoot, Urban Meyer, he loses one game in the National Football League. He is out of here. He's going to have another meltdown. He's going to get sick. He's done. That is not happening. Aaron Rodgers, if I'm not mistaken, he's last year NFL MVP, the National Football NFL MVP, excuse me. And now all of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers can't play. What the hell? He's exactly right. Just take a chill pill, everybody. Relax, okay? Bury the ball. You got blown out. I've been there. Take the ball, get in the backyard, get on the practice field, bury the football, burn the field. That is not us. But really, you know, realistically, everybody was looking at, you know, where are we? Are we this good? Are we this bad? Boom, boom, boom. Somewhere in the middle is where reality lies with all these teams. So everybody has a benchmark now, okay, where we're at, where we need to get better. Because I'm telling you, all the teams that won, those head coaches are putting, like Saban, they're putting the thumb down. We stink. We ain't that good. Quit writing all that nice shit about us because it ain't true. And all those teams that lost and got their ass kicked and they're writing all that negative shit about them, that ain't true either.
Yeah, and I think that's a fascinating thing from a coach because your job is, I have to make this group of men the best they could possibly be. No matter, because in the NFL, you got turnover of roster. There's a different thing in college too, by the way. Not only salary cap's different, but you might lose half your roster literally from one year to the next, and you have to continue to build that culture, and you have to do that whole thing. I love it, though, just like the reaction outside, because fans are supposed to react the way they react because they spend their entire lives pulling for a team, and then you get a chance to see them for the first time, especially with fans in the stands after this COVID thing, and they stink. It's like, oh, I hate this team. This team is the absolute worst. It's like, well, oh no, you're starting to freeze a little bit. In 4 weeks, 5 weeks, will it be a much different ball game? I think so. That whole setting the baseline thing is fascinating because that is probably how you coaches look at it. What is the meeting like the day after the game amongst the coaches without the players? Is it a very true, like, hey, this particular group didn't play that great. How do we get them better? How do those conversations go the day after the first game of the season amongst the coaches that we can't hear and nobody else really hears?
I think you just got to keep it real, and you got to be 100% with each other and say, okay, look, you know, a lot of guys will go in and protect their guys and say, hey, such and such played really good. And then you're sitting there going, was I at the same game? Did I watch the same film? Can we go back and watch it together? Because we can analyze every play, but just be authentic and be real and say, okay, this is where we're really good. This is where we stink. This is what we have to clean up. And you have to have honest, forthright, upfront conversations about your team and about your players and where you're at. And it's up to the head coach to set the culture of that staff and of that room, that when we come in here and we evaluate, look, no one's getting fired tomorrow. We're not making any changes. We're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater on after 1 week. You know, we see 4, 5, 6 weeks of this. Yeah, the heads will probably roll. There's going to be some change. You know, it might be the head football coach, depending on what year you're in. But no, you got to get in there and you got to call it like it is.
You talked about watching film together with the other coaches. There was just a report that came out. Mike Zimmer and Kirk Cousins are watching film together for the first time since Kirk Cousins had joined the Minnesota Vikings with Zimmer. Zimmer, obviously a defensive coach. Kirk Cousins, obviously the quarterback on the offensive side. This comes after an offseason where Zimmer and Kirk have been on two very different sides of a very hot topic. So maybe this is them kind of mending fences there. I always assumed that the head coach and the quarterback are always on the same page. Is this anything to be alarmed about, that they haven't watched film together since 2018, or is this something that should be a conversation? In your experience, your thoughts, your idea, Chuck Pagano?
I know this, that besides, the GM head coach relationship, the most important one, you always hear this, you've heard it 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, is the relationship between the head coach and the quarterback. That is paramount. And so whether that's true or not, I find that hard to believe. Because I always tried to find the time, and we all follow Bill Belichick's model of, he spent, 1 day a week talking with Tom, watching the film, just giving his perspective, on the next opponent's defense, giving his perspective on third down, situational stuff, red area. When we get in third and 7+, the guy you need to key on is the nickel. He's going to tell the tale of the tape. If he's down low and there's somebody backing him up, expect a nickel pressure. Okay, if he backs off early, all right, and the safeties start to rotate over and he's got a little bit too much depth, expect 4 weak. So Bill set the model for all of us years and years ago. I tried to emulate that with Andrew in the quarterback room and go in there and share, the nuggets that I could share. Don't overwhelm him with it. Obviously, because of what's transpired, there was probably masks on in that meeting, I would hope. Yeah, Zim probably had one on. I'm sure Kirk had a mask on. Yeah, with that whole, deal that you talked about. We're not going to get into that. We don't have enough time to talk about that. But that relationship is very, very important.
Okay, so I always love, by the way, and the boys have some questions for you, and I can't thank you enough for joining us, Chuck. You're fucking awesome. Always have been. This is only going to get better as the season goes. I don't know how, but I always love whenever you would come into the team meeting, and you would let everybody know that you're still watching film. There would be like, you would do exactly what you just did about some situations, hey, their defense does blah, 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 and then when they blah, 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 what are we going to do? And you would ask a question to somebody, and it would normally end up getting all the way back to either Darius Butler or Pops Adams or DeQuell Jackson. You would ask a couple of people who would go through the entire thing. But I always enjoyed whenever you came in and let everybody know, like, hey, I watched my fucking film too. Like, let's not get crazy in there, because you got hired as a head coach because of how good you were on the defensive side of the ball. And I think some guys, maybe, I'm not sure what Zim does. I have no idea what Zim does, but that type of brain being added to Kirk Cousins' thought is like good for everybody, I think. I'm happy to hear that you and Luck did that, because I wasn't 100% sure or not. It only made sense to me, and obviously I'm pretty pumped that you did that. Go ahead, Ty.
Chuck, I don't know if you saw Peyton and Eli on Monday night, but they were basically talking about how realistically there are no such thing as halftime adjustments, that you just don't have enough time. Do you agree with that? And how are things different in terms of like adjustments, or how you approached halftime for when you were a coordinator and when you were a head coach?
Yeah, I didn't watch that. I was watching the other ball, live feed, whatever it was, and I heard it was outstanding. We all know how brilliant and bright and funny Peyton is and Eli is, and I heard it was phenomenal. But yeah, there's a short window. Pat can tell you, and he's probably told you a million times that, you're in and out of there. Sometimes you have the entire defense, the entire offense. Sometimes you're not. If a guy needs an IV, if a guy's getting shot up, a guy's got this, a guy's got that, whatever it is, you may not have the full complement of guys in there. 12, 13 minutes max, and it takes you 3 or 4 to get in from some of these stadiums. So there's still adjustments being made. A lot of those guys, Peyton was probably making all his own adjustments on his own with the backs and receivers and the line and things like that. But no, there's still adjustments that have to be made, because you can clearly tell, at halftime, if a team comes out, they just got throttled in the first half, and now all of a sudden the other team just can't do anything, can't piss a drop, can't get a first down. They obviously, saw something maybe in the first half they didn't see, maybe a scheme run, a gap scheme. You got pullers, you got this, you got that, and they go in and say, look, you hope you don't have a bunch of adjustments. Like if you got like 6 runs and 5 or 7 pass concepts, and you're just getting blistered all over the place, and it's bombs over Baghdad and 20-plus yard runs, you certainly don't have enough time to fix all that shit. You better just go in there and get on your hands and knees and do the prayer over again, and say a couple Hail Marys. But no, there's things that you can do, and there's enough time to make enough adjustments. Hopefully, again, you don't have too many to make.
But it's not a full overall, because I think like the thought is, and sometimes it's, they change their entire scheme coming into the week at halftime. And I know Bill Belichick has a couple different games that it's noted where he had a first half strategy and then a second half strategy, and it worked to complete plan. But I think what Peyton and Eli were trying to debunk almost is like, we're not changing our entire game plan at halftime. Like maybe there's some adjustments or things like that, but that's not happening. It's nice to hear like the head coach though say Peyton was probably doing things a little bit differently than everybody else, because you're right, on the sideline his ass was on those papers, and it was, hey, we can't be doing this anymore. So by the time they got to halftime, I assume some of the guys were like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and maybe just rest for a second and get the hell out of the way there. But some of those halftimes are awesome though. Like when Vontae just retired in the middle of it from Buffalo. How about Vontae? Is that not the most legendary thing of all time? I couldn't even imagine what the head coach, especially because we know Vontae. Love Vontae. I'm a big Vontae guy. You're a massive Vontae guy. The thought of him just being like, it's a young man game, dog. I'm out. And just bailing in the middle of halftime is absolute insanity to me. That's crazy. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, Chuck, the Cardinals absolutely beat the piss out of the Titans this weekend, and the Niners were also blowing out the Lions for a little bit, but they let them back. How do you keep your team motivated when you are blowing a team out and versus when you're getting blown out to kind of stay in the game and not just completely quit?
So I think there's enough video evidence, if you go back in history, to where you can show your team, prior to a season, in the off season. Go back to the Super Bowl. Atlanta's up 28-3. All right, New England comes back and beats their ass. We're down 28, 38. I don't know, million to Kansas City, and we come back and win 45-44. So there's enough video evidence out there that you can show your teams, because when you're up, as head coach, you're scared to death. Don't let up. Don't let up. Keep the foot on the throat. Put your hand down their mouth, down their throat, and rip their damn heart out. All this shit. That's how we motivate them. And look, you let these sumbitches back in this game. All right, no more pizza and wings on Fridays. We're going back to all the vegan food. All right, all the healthy shit, salads, all that. And then when you're behind, you see all these miraculous comebacks. Frank Reich, we always talked about Frank Reich. He's got the 2 best, largest comebacks in the history of football, both in college, when he was playing in college, and the NFL, right? So anything can happen. So, and we know Dan Campbell, okay? And we heard it firsthand. His team, you knock us down, back up. We're going to have shit in our mouth. It might be your thigh. It may be a kneecap. I don't know, but I love Dan Campbell, and I've talked to a ton of people, and I got friends that coach for Dan Campbell. They love Dan Campbell. His team is not going to quit. And so as a head coach, you got to make sure, okay, I'm showing that pressure to my team before I go over there. And we may get up on this team, and everybody says Detroit ain't worth a damn, and it kind of looked like that for a long time in that game, 41-17. But then you start saying, okay, the head coach is telling the position guys, hey, take so-and-so out. Get this guy out. Get this guy out. We don't want to get hurt, because if you're up 41-17 and then you lose 2 or 3 starters on either side of the ball, they will fire you. So you have all those components, but then all of a sudden they come firing back at you, and then you're like, I'm on the headset talking to the coaches, hey, get that son of a bitch back in the game. These guys are coming back. I mean, they're fighting for their lives at the end of that. They're going to score and probably get a 2-point conversion. They're going to overtime.
Yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely. The NFL is crazy.
It's hard.
That Kansas City night was awesome. Hey, that was an awesome night. We had an onside kick that the whole world knew we were going to potentially do. And I checked out of it because it wasn't the look or whatever. And I felt like such a coward. I was like, we're down so much, should have went for it. And then the team, by the way, Andrew and the boys just rallying, smart play after smart play after smart play. And you just keep chopping wood, Chuck. Hey, listen, keep chopping that fucking wood. Hey, let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this week. We can't wait for next Wednesday. We appreciate you so much. The internet's been fantastic. Please tell Tina we say thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach us up, Chuck, host. Coach Chuck Logano. Yeah, Chuck! He's the best.
Yeah, weapon.
The best. Hey, get your hand in their mouth, down the throat, rip the fucking heart out.
Yeah.
That's really what you have to do. And then the pizza and vegan thing is so funny because they did eliminate all good food out of our building. And then Chuck was like, can we get something maybe Feel Good Friday? Can we get like maybe some pizza and wings on Friday? They're like, yeah. And then all of a sudden, as soon as the game was starting to turn, he's like, I want to fight for your fucking pizza. You guys want that out of here or not? It's like, how do you motivate them to stay on this thing and get back in this?
Him seeing Urban Meyer's body language too in that press conference.
We all saw it.
Yeah.
We all saw it.
Yeah.
I'm committed to building this organization.
I can't look in you.
That'd be crazy. Thanks to Chuck. We'll see you in about 6. Cheers. Hour 3's on the other side. Why is football the greatest sport on earth? And do you think football is the greatest sport on earth? And why do you like football?
That's a really deep question there, Pat.
I know. I think I'd get a good answer out of you, though. Like, I think you'd be able to talk about it in a way that I think a lot of people haven't because you've been at the pinnacle of it for so damn long and inside of it. And your brain is a pretty fantastic one. We've learned here over the last few weeks, obviously. Last few weeks, that's it. That's all the time we've learned that.
I think it's the greatest sport in the world for one main reason. It is a true team sport where it is damn near impossible for one person to dominate an entire game. If you look at other team sports, basketball with 5 guys on the court, I think you've seen multiple players over the years. Maybe one player, maybe 1 or 2 players on a squad be able to dominate and win championships. Baseball, you can have a dominant pitcher and win championships. Soccer, you can have a dominant forward and or goalie. That seems to be a little more of a team sport, but you don't have 11 players engaged at the same time on every play. It is truly a sport reliant on every player on the field to do their job in order to be successful. And I think that's why at times, certain star players can get maybe too much credit and maybe too much blame on the flip side, because it does take so many players at the same time in 3 phases to win football games. And I think that's the beauty and the draw of our sport, is that something new happens all the time because you are literally dealing with 11 humans on the field at one time who all have lives outside of football, and there's distractions, there's a reliance on coaching, there's a reliance on preparation, there's a reliance on diet and performance. I just think there's so many facets to it that you see something new every single week, and I think that's the beauty in our game. When it comes to the love that I have for it, it's rooted, and I think like any player who's played for a long time, the love is not just about our sport, it's about competition. And I think there's nothing in the world for me that fills that need and that hole I have like competition. I think players who played for a long time at a high level, you have that need to be satiated competitively, and it's a love of going out there and going against guys and being in an environment where you know that nothing is guaranteed. And that's why at times I've taken umbrage to people saying that it's easy, because it's not easy. It's never easy. And I think that's the beauty in our game, is that you see things new every single week. It's never easy. And your only thing you're guaranteed is the ability to compete. I love that aspect of it. I love competing. I love going out there and harnessing the fear of failure, where I think so many people who maybe don't love football as much, the root of that is a deep fear of failure, that you might go out there and your best might not be good enough, and that's not okay with you.
Let's test out this. Sharon! Proper footy.
Seems like it has a bigger sweet spot. That's the greatest sport on earth right there. Aussie rules football, also known as footy, AFL. My first time bombing in official shorts that are a little bit restricting. I think I lost a ball, to be honest. Might be a Lance Armstrong situation down here, but I can see why this sport is beloved, because those balls fly. Need to get down to Australia, meet up with the Magpie boys, and finish out this AFL season as maybe its biggest fan in America. That's how I think.
The Pat McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we can talk about.
Speaking his mind.
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
While being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to that show. Hour 3, Wednesday, September 15th, 2021, years after zero. This gonna be our best hour yet. Yeah. That's what people are saying. Allow Twine to drop an incredible beat there. We appreciate him for the intro song that we will be changing at some point.
Oh, yeah, true. I forgot about that.
You got to deal with a lot of things whenever you change music. There, you got to deal with record labels. You got to deal with this. You got to deal with who owns the publishing rights, who owns the processing rights, who owns this, blah, 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 blah.
It's a nightmare.
Shout out to Twine, though, for making something beautiful and banging for us to open every single hour. And hour 3 is going to be a good one. We got Minkah Fitzpatrick joining us in about 15 minutes. Coming off a 10-tackle game where he led the Pittsburgh Steelers in tackles against the Buffalo Bills when they went into Bills Mafia land and got a win when I don't think anybody expected it, especially with Josh Allen and the Bills being able to perform in front of Bills Mafia for the first time since becoming this elite squad. What did Minkah and the boys do in Pittsburgh that had Josh Allen so rattled in the Buffalo Bills offense? Much different than what it looked like last year. Allegedly, they only blitzed on like 2% of the snaps as opposed to an average of 37% of the snaps. Did they sit back? Did they confuse Josh Allen? Is this a sign of things to come? And Minkah has been a defensive MVP candidate immediately upon getting traded from the Miami Dolphins to the Pittsburgh Steelers. After the Pittsburgh Steelers lost Ben Roethlisberger at quarterback, Tomlin went all in on the defense, and Minkah has been a game changer, not just for the Steelers, but for the entire city of Pittsburgh. Now, he has not signed a long-term deal extension with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I do believe he is still tight with everybody in that team. Cannot wait to chat with him about the season that will be for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And also, I believe, if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, tomorrow, we got a pretty big one.
Yeah, pretty good day.
I think Mike Tomlin's coming on the show tomorrow.
Whoa. He doesn't do media.
Well, every once in a while we'll see him on ESPN when he has to address something or he'll do a show, and he had a great interview with Stephen A. Smith last week. We enjoyed hearing that. Mike Tomlin, so Tom Telesco, current general manager of the Indianapolis Colts, he watched me warm up at the Meineke Car Care Bowl and told Bill Polian, hey, there's a guy with a massive leg. They were looking for a punter at West Virginia. He kicked for 2 hours before the game, and I was literally just fucking around my friends who got redshirted, and this was our last game together. They were going to play another year at West Virginia. We were just kind of enjoying the moment over there. Tom Telesco, allegedly the reason why I got drafted in the Indianapolis Colts. Mike Tomlin, definitely the reason why anybody came and watched me at my pro day. He led the charge from the indoor facility to the stadium, and then he was the one that actually put me through the workout during my pro day. I am nothing but thankful and grateful for that man. Cannot wait to chat with him tomorrow. Before then, we have one of his studs on his defense that has been unbelievable ever since Tomlin got to Pittsburgh, Minkah Fitzpatrick. I cannot wait for that conversation with Coach T tomorrow.
Yeah, very excited for that as well.
Allegedly, the way it all went down with Coach Tomlin, who does not do a lot of media, allegedly the PR asked, because we've been sending out our own emails to some people to potentially start booking. You know what I mean?
And there.
We want to know about the lack of success. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers have always been very nice to us.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of them listen to the show over there. They've always done that. But we've started sending out emails to some teams saying, hey, what's the deal? How come you won't send any of your guys on our show? We just kind of want to know. We sent that email to the Steelers with a list of people requests. They sent one back. They're like, we put people on the show all the time. You're like, all right. I mean, it was more of a general email.
Yeah, it was different.
You guys kind of got caught up in
Sorry.
that. Yeah, we do apologize. We do apologize you got caught up, but we do appreciate what you have done for us. And then allegedly the story goes that, since we did put Coach Tomlin in there, that the head coach has so much shit to deal with on a daily basis. And allegedly, Coach Tomlin was presented with the idea of potentially coming on to Pat's show. And allegedly, Tomlin goes, McAfee? Yeah. I'll fuck with McAfee. Yeah. And that's how it all went. So I appreciate Tomlin so much for coming on tomorrow. Appreciate Minkah Fitzpatrick. Appreciate all of you for listening and watching wherever the hell you may be, whether it's on SiriusXM Channel 82, Mad Dog Sports Radio, or YouTube.com/The Pat McAfee Show. I think this season is going to be a hell of a ride. Feels like we're building up the right connections with the right people to potentially have some magical conversations for the next 5 months or so. We are very lucky to do this. We're also very lucky to be the people that judge the judgers. Whenever people put lists together, you have to immediately judge the people that put the list together as opposed to the teams that are on the list. Now, when the power rankings come out in the NFL, and there's a couple different ones. There's one on NFL Network from
Matt Money Smith and Dan Hansis.
He puts his together. Okay, that is something that ESPN has put out their first power rankings, though. And we tried to do research on who created this. I guess it's 81 writers and TV personalities that have a vote. This is the current, going into week 2 of the 2021 NFL season, the current ESPN power rankings, which we must judge, and not just the teams, but the people that put the list together. The power rankings, please.
Hell yeah.
At number 10 in the NFL, the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens almost won against the Raiders this past weekend. They have lost a lot of people on that team. A lot of people have gotten injured. They still have the anomaly that is Lamar Jackson at quarterback. And even after being a half a yard away from losing a game in overtime, they cause a turnover and almost get back in that thing and win. Fuck-ass fumbles are the problem for why the Ravens did not get a dub. They will be in every single game strictly because Harbaugh and that defense and special teams are always good. And they got Lamar Jackson on the offensive side of the ball. He's going to be set. They're at number 10. Okay, the Raiders beat them. I don't believe the Raiders are on this list. Number 9, New Orleans Saints. 8, Pittsburgh Steelers. 7, San Francisco 49ers. 8, Cleveland Browns. 6, Cleveland Browns. 5, Buffalo Bills. 4, Los Angeles Rams. 3, Seattle Seahawks. 2, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And number 1 overall team, the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, we had to look into whether or not this is projected end-of-season rankings or the rankings that it sits currently, because there's obviously some question marks if you're looking at this just as a Week 2 power ranking. How could you have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 8, Buffalo Bills at 5, when the Pittsburgh Steelers literally went into Buffalo and got a win in Week 1? Is this a projection for the end of the season, or is this right now? That's a question that needs to be answered, and I don't think we were able to find the answer, right?
No, it's right now. This is going into week 2. This is post-week 1 games.
So ESPN polled 81 writers and people that are prominent in the football world, and they ranked the Buffalo Bills 3 spots ahead of the team that beat them just a few days ago.
Yes.
Then obviously the Kansas City Chiefs at number 1, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 2, and the Seattle Seahawks at number 3, and Los Angeles Rams at number 4. If I was to be ranking this just strictly off of Week 1 performances, which I think is what they are ranking this off of, I mean, Seattle, Los Angeles, the Niners, except for the fourth quarter. There's a lot of movement in my eyes. Kansas City was down 10, but they flip a switch and come back and win whenever they want. Tom Brady had that moment where he saw the other team take a lead and he was pissed off, knows he's going to come back and win this thing. The Seahawks and the Rams, though, and the Niners, I believe, for 3/4 of that game, appeared to be the best squads in the NFL. These rankings, and the Saints at 9 is absurd, by the way, especially with what they just did to the Packers. So we have a lot of question marks, but I think everybody would agree top 10 seems like that's probably the bundle everybody's going to pick from. Unless the Raiders deserve to be in there, especially if you're going to have the Ravens in there.
Well, even the Cowboys. I mean, I feel like the Ravens weren't the most impressive, team that lost this weekend, or at least one that doesn't warrant the 10. I thought the Cowboys looked just as good as the Ravens, if not better.
The AFC West and the NFC West are all 1-0. Okay, so everybody in the AFC West and the NFC West is 1-0. Only a couple teams from each in there. I think that is a fascinating thing as well. And the Packers aren't even in top 10. So that tells us that they're judging strictly on week 1 performances if the Packers aren't in there, unless they're predicting that the Packers are going to stink. I'm fascinated by this whole thing, and it's obviously great fodder, but there's some outright bullshit on this list that I'm not necessarily happy about.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, Houston Texans need to be on here. They looked unbelievable week 1. Granted, they played the Jaguars, but they beat the shit out of them. Everyone thought they were going to go 0-17 this year. I mean,
I think they're at 11.
Okay, if they're at 11. Cardinals should definitely be up here.
Yeah.
They absolutely dog-walked a team who won their division last year, and everyone thought they were going to be better this year. They absolutely embarrassed the Titans. In Nashville, they should definitely be in the top 10.
And I have a question, how do you rank the Kansas City Chiefs above the Super Bowl champ Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Now, much different time. They played against each other, obviously, different offensive line for Patrick Mahomes, but Kansas City Chiefs were down double digits. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I guess they had to come back and win that thing in the end, but also, how do you... I don't know how any of these things work out, and we always must remember, everybody gets upset about things, about lists and rankings and everything, as you should. You always have to remember who's doing the voting, and do we really give a fuck what said person thinks? Now, I would assume in those 81 people that are voting, we do have respect for at least a couple people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I would say that. But there are some outcomes on this particular list. Just the first NFL power ranking that we have seen in the middle of the season. We will judge these every single week, by the way. It is a beautiful thing, and we thank ESPN for putting this together to be completely transparent. But there's some shit in there. Makes you go, there's people that have no idea what they're talking about when they're talking about football. Makes me feel how I felt when I was watching Monday Night Manning. I was like, oh, I didn't know anything about football. I just realized. Chuck, by the way, needs to get hip to the Monday Night Manning.
Time. Yeah.
He will love it. Football people will love the Manning thing. It is literally a fire hose of football information coming right down the gullet from the Manning brothers and whoever their guest is. I absolutely enjoyed it, and I would like to see the Manning brothers put together a power rankings list.
They should.
They probably wouldn't, by the way, because they have no idea what the teams are going to look like 4 weeks from now, 5 weeks from now. And that's kind of how we all feel that has ever been in the locker room. Some teams might completely flip the switch and be great. Some teams might check out and stink. You have no idea what a team's going to become, especially if you don't know what the culture is. But there's some things on there. I mean, the Steelers being below the Bills just
doesn't make
sense. Can't have it.
They already competed for who would be higher on this thing.
A lot of people were picking the Bills to win or go to the Super Bowl this year. And
by the way, still might.
Mm-hmm.
Still might.
Steelers go into their house.
But if this is just ranking where we currently stand, I mean, literally they had a scoreboard up for the 8 and the 5 team to figure out who should be ranked higher. And the 8 team scored more points than the 5 team. And I'm not saying any. Believe me, I love the Buffalo Bills, and I think they could change and continue to only get better through the season. They have a bunch of studs. I believe in Josh Allen. I believe in Bean. I believe in McDermott. But if you're just looking at this list for what it is, it's like they already competed. They literally just played again. The games don't matter. Is it just what you think and predict, I guess? Is that what the 81 people are just smarter than the actual game itself? Because the game itself is what we're talking about, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand, but it's got to make you feel a little bit better about the Colts knowing that the number 3 Seattle Seahawks were the team that took them out this weekend.
Hey, I was thinking the number 1 Seattle Seahawks, by the way. And that team looks unbelievable. Now that I'm a big fan of Russell Wilson, too, after his Monday Night Manning performance, I like to see the Hawks up there. The 12s deserve it, too. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
The 12s deserve it. They're at home this weekend against Titans.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
They're at home this weekend against the Titans. I'm going to bet on Russell Wilson until further notice as well. He's one of the people that I'm betting on until further notice. Arizona Cardinals, also a team I'm betting on until further notice. They're -4.5 at home with the Vikings. Mike Zimmer and Kirk Cousins allegedly just watched film for the first time ever together. I think the Cardinals at home, that seems like a right bet. I did not know it was going to be like that with the Vikings, though, because they still got Dalvin Cook.
Yeah. But Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt got the boys
Oh, I
buzzing
completely
up there.
forgot they got a brand new defense. Chandler Jones, 5 sacks. J.J.
Yeah.
Watt out there eating as well. Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury seem to have a different attitude, different tone this year as they did in the past. A.J. Green, DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, that team is
Buda
eating
Baker.
over there. Buda Yeah, in the back. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Okay, so we will bet on Seattle Seahawks at home against the Tennessee Titans. I believe that's 4.5 as well.
Yeah, 5.5.
5.5. That's very small. I mean, there's
tiny.
There it is.
I got LASIK, but I don't know if they're that good. 5.5 seems to be a lot, but the 12's back in the building for the first time in 18 months, and the way Russell Wilson looked, and maybe that offseason did bring them more together. Maybe they were forced to have real conversations with each other about how things are going and what needs to happen and how things need to go. I just believe that the Seahawks, after Russell Wilson's performance, not only dunking on the Colts a couple times, which I believe they have a great defense and will also transform here, but also what he did on Monday Night Manning. That's a guy I want to bet on.
Yeah, but you got to think that Vrabel's got the boys working this week and fired up. And you've talked about before how Peyton would say, like, I love when my running back's angry. You got to assume Derrick Henry's pissed the fuck off.
Do you?
Yeah. I mean, we had, 9 rushes for 8 yards at one point yesterday? I would hope at least that the guy who rushed for over 2,000 last year is like, hey, you know what? This is bullshit. I'm going to just put it on myself and run through these fucking people.
If Tone wasn't back in his COVID cave, because of a close contact, T's and P's to Tone the COVID Cowboy. Might have to hop back in the saddle again, by the way.
Yeah.
Had a couple close contacts around him. Obviously, he'll stay away from the office for the rest of the week. Hopefully, he'll continue to test negative through the weekend. He'll be back on Monday. But Diggs would be very loud screaming in the microphone. That's why you don't pay running backs. That's why you don't. Now, he'll leave out Christian McCaffrey, obviously having a massive game, and Dalvin Cook continuing to be a massive part of their offense, and other running backs that have continued to have success after getting paid. But that is a big take, is that a running back can't get paid because once they get paid, things change. You don't necessarily want to take 20 hits to the ribs and to the knees once you make a certain amount of money, because the running back position gets battered as it is. But maybe Derrick Henry turns it up. And I think for Derrick Henry to turn it up, offensive line's going to have to start cooking.
Yeah, for sure. Julio also probably, hopefully, has a little chip after last week. And also, I do think Derrick Henry, this is his last year with guaranteed money, because didn't they do the extension as
2-year, $50 million or something?
Yeah, right. And this is the second year.
The D line though for Seattle will not get enough credit or praise. The offensive line for the Indianapolis Colts is a good one. I think everybody agrees with that. Missing a left tackle because Costanzo retired. Allegedly, Eric Fisher's coming back off an Achilles this weekend. I hope he's all the way back. It's going to be tough. That D line for Seattle caused hell.
A lot of problems
for Carson Wentz and that offensive line. So if the Tennessee Titans can't figure out the block game, I think Seattle Seahawks will continue to eat. But you're right. How about the Rams at 4? I guess that's good because they're top 5. But who's going to stop that team? Who's gonna be able to beat Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald the way they're playing right now? Who's gonna be able to stop Matthew Stafford, able to make every single throw, and Sean McVay being? I'm not 100% sure anybody. Like, that's why this season's so awesome. That's why the power rankings are so beautiful, because there's always going to be a debate, because there's always these, if this team was to play this team right now, who would out? That's what these rankings are. My biggest issue is the Steelers already beat the Bills. So So what do we even? We don't even have to act like, I wonder if this team was to play this team right now, this would be happening. But I guess this is what we got to do whenever we don't know who's betting and who's picking and everything like that.
Well, and they do all 32, and I know the Raiders were at like 23 or something, and they just won the game. So that means there's at least like 7 teams in front of them who lost.
So it's hard, I assume, not to carry in for preconceived notions going into the season and then carrying those at least into week 2, week 3, week 4. But if this is supposed to be for right now, who is in? You have to at least look at what happened week 1 and adjust accordingly. The Raiders get a tough win. Almost shot themselves in the foot a couple times. Derek Carr, I have learned from watching Peyton Manning and Russell Wilson and Eli Manning talk, has a lot of room to potentially continue to grow and continue to get better in that offense. I believe that was pretty evident in there. And they got Incognito out. They got a Denzel Good, who's my guy. He's out. That team maybe continues to get better and continues to win games, but I don't think anybody's ever going to give the Raiders enough respect for what they actually deserve, because everybody knows inevitably in the end it's probably not going to work out, because they're in the same division as the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos right now, which are all incredible squads.
Well, and even if you do go by that preconceived notions, I mean, every single one of these had the Packers in the top 4 before the season.
Yeah, so
and I'm not saying that they deserve to be after getting embarrassed like that, but then that is just feeding into like, hey, these guys fucking stink now. Get them out of the top 10.
But the legitimacy of the list is that the Packers are not in there.
True.
Right? So the Packers not being in there, it's like, okay, this list warrants a little bit of credence, a little bit of respect. And then you go right to 8-5.
Well, New Orleans just beat the hell out of the Packers there at 9, and San Francisco, I mean, almost blew the game to the Lions. They blew a 20-point lead at one point. Shouldn't they be flip-flop?
Yeah, but I think a lot of people would say that the Niners, if you don't just watch the highlights and you actually watch the fucking film, when their starters were in and whenever they were actually playing, they were just dog-walking MCDC.
Right.
Now in, I don't want to say garbage time, but MCDC's boys leaning in. I don't know if they should be at 32. Just strictly, I think we learned more about Detroit than maybe we did at the end of the Niners or whatever. But I think you're right. I mean, the Saints look like who's going to fucking stop them? I have no idea.
That defense. And the Lions, by the way, they're at 31.
Yes. Who's 32? Jags?
I believe it was the Jags. It might have been the Jets.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is the man who has the most tackles for the number 8th ranked team in the NFL via ESPN's power rankings. A guy who was traded from the Miami Dolphins to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was a first-round draft pick for the Miami Dolphins. Just one short year later, they traded him to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin said, hey, we lose Ben Roethlisberger. Our offense might not be able to score any points, but as long as we can put 6 to 7 on the board, we can stack a defense that can stop everybody from scoring at all. Give me Minkah Fitzpatrick out of Miami. Get him on this defense, and he hit the ground running. Joe Hayden, T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward, you name it, the crew. Melvin Ingram's now there. That defense is reminiscent of the glory days for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Steel Curtain. Whenever you talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers football teams, you always know that the defense is going to fly around. You know that the secondary is going to hit people. You know the plays are going to be made. And whenever this guy got traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers, he didn't just have to buy in and change that thing. He lifted the culture immensely. Mike Tomlin will say nothing but positive things, I assume. Colbert, after the trade, should be getting some sort of award or trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now, All-Pro Pro Bowler Minkah Fitzpatrick. Minkah, you got to... hey, are you on an iPhone right now?
Yeah, am I crooked?
Yeah, you're going to have to unlock the thing and let that thing turn real quick. And by the way, I was giving you like a 45-second intro because I heard there was all hell was breaking loose over there. We appreciate you so much for joining us, Minkah. Hopefully you'll be able to figure out the portrait mode. Hot dog, hamburger. Hey, you look good, Minkah. We appreciate you for joining us, man. How's the body feeling? How's the team feeling? You go into Buffalo, get a big win. You have 10 tackles, lead the team. Things have to be great in Pittsburgh right now. Nobody thought you guys were going to be able to do what you did this past weekend.
Yeah, it was a tough game. Bills are a great team. They had a whole lot of talent. It was a hard-fought win. It was a win that we needed for sure. But we're moving on to the next. We got a great team in the Raiders. They're coming off a big win too. So going to come into Pittsburgh with a chip on their shoulder. They beat an in-division team in Baltimore. So we got our little bumps and bruises from last game, but we're learning from it, moving forward, and focusing on the Raiders.
Minkah, I know we want to focus on the Raiders, but I would like to take a trip back in time. Whenever you find out you're getting traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers, what is your initial thought? Because this came immediately after Ben Roethlisberger basically being announced that he's out for the season. You get first-round draft pick to Miami, traded to Pittsburgh. What's your immediate thoughts? Are you a little bit upset with Miami doing you like that, or are you excited to join the organization? And what were your immediate thoughts in that situation?
At first I was a little upset. It was bittersweet because my family they're in Florida. They had moved down to Florida, and I got drafted down there. I liked it down there. It's a great place. Had a great community down there. But business is business. I had to do what was best for me. Dolphins had to do what was best for what they thought was best for them. And when I found out it was the Steelers, I was excited because I remember meeting Coach Tomlin and in the pre-draft process, and I was like, man, that's a coach that I really want to play for one day, if I had the opportunity to. So when I found out it was Pittsburgh, I was like, dang, it's kind of crazy it worked out this way. And when I got here, they just said, just play ball, do what you do, don't overthink nothing. And I was like, that just took a hold off my shoulders. And I was like, look, I just got to go out here and show the Steelers why they picked or used the first round pick on me. You know what I'm saying? So I went out there and just did what I had to do.
Pittsburgh loves you as a player for everything. I just have to ask real quick: were you felt a little intimidated because my chain was a little bit bigger and it was out? Is that why you had to move your?
This little puts it up, so I had to.
Okay. All right. I didn't know if it was maybe like an alpha
I don't got the
situation.
big money yet like you, man. I don't got the big money yet.
Hey, we could talk about that, but we won't because you're middle of the season. Let business be handled elsewhere. That's a way over your head. When you see TJ Watt get broken off, though, that has to make you feel good. Like, hey, the Steelers take care of their own. You come in and ball out like you have since day one joining Pittsburgh, by the way. Immediate defensive MVP candidate as soon as you hopped in that defense, and they're saying, hey, fly around. It's got to feel good. I saw Joe Hayden congratulate TJ. I saw everybody congratulate. That's great for the organization as a whole, right, when things like that happen?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because you see that they're taking care of players, and they even did some untraditional things with TJ. You know what I'm saying? So seeing that happen is definitely puts a smile on my face, puts a smile on other players' face, and it's good when you know that the owners and the guys upstairs are taking care of the players. So. He was smiling, but I was smiling even bigger.
I could imagine. And good luck in that entire process. It'll be handled exactly how it's supposed to. The universe always seems to find a way. But whenever you talk about Mike Tomlin, because I got a chance to chat with him in the draft process as well and meet him, and he was electric. I mean, just absolutely electrifying. Seemed like a guy I would not only want to play for, but also a guy I'd want to be friends with. When you compare him to other coaches that you had, whether it's Gase or whether it's Nick Saban, what is it about him that it seems like he always wins? And people always just kind of take that for granted in Pittsburgh, I think. They're like, hey, we just win here. That's what we do. But that culture has to be built. What is it about Tomlin, you think, that he always seems to find the best in the team that he has?
Yeah, I think one is adaptability. He doesn't get stuck just doing one thing. I think week to week, our game plan, if you look at it offensively, defensively, special teams, the way that it changes, to who we're playing against. He's mature enough and he's been through enough to realize, look, it's a league that changes week to week. It's a team it's a different team we see week to week, and we got to adapt to it. You know what I'm saying? We're always going to stick to our fundamentals, but we're going to adapt to what we're going to see. And also just his love for the game, like it's unmatched. Like he's always watching football. He has sons that play college football, so he's always watching that. And like anything that happened within the last like 20, 30 years of football, would be NFL, college, he knows about it. You know what I'm saying? So he's always watching film, preparing. You know what I'm saying? Just making sure that we're in the best possible position to win. That's the thing that I really respect the most, is that he's never gonna put his ego or his pride before his player. He's gonna say, look, we got guys that can do X, Y, Z, so that's what we're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna try and force something that I want. I'm gonna use my personnel, my arsenal, and go in and attack their best qualities. So that's something that I like a lot.
That makes a lot of sense, by the way. You would assume that every coach does that, but that is not the case. People have their system. This system is one. This is what you need to do. This is this whole thing. The greatest coaches can bring out the best and make the best out of what they have, and it's been awesome to watch Tomlin work. Let's chat about you for a little bit longer. 10 tackles this past weekend. You fly around out there. Has any of the ex-Steelers secondary, Ryan Clark, Ike Taylor, Troy, that whole crew, there's always been a lot of pride in Pittsburgh about the secondary flying around and hitting people. Have you got a chance to chat with them? Because it feels like the Pittsburgh Steelers organization is most similar to a college organization with alumni kind of being apart, coming back around, and it's a very beautiful thing. Have you heard from any of the OGs, and what are their thoughts on the defense that you guys have now? Because you guys fly. Cam Hayward had 15 pressures or something. Yeah. In the middle of the, I mean, it's insane, that defense you guys have. Have you guys heard from any of the OGs?
Oh, we haven't heard from too many of them, but I think was real big around here. We have a saying, the standard is the standard. We watch a lot of old film on some of the guys that that were Troy Polamalu defense and Ryan Clark, those guys. We watch a lot of that film because we run similar schemes and concepts and stuff like that. So we watch those guys, and I grew up watching them and saying, man, I want to play like him one day. You know what I'm saying? So I think we just kind of keep that standard of excellence, honestly, and we just watch them. We see what they do. You know what I'm saying? That's just how we learn here. When I got here, I watched Cam Hayward, I watched Joe, I watched TJ Watt, and I seen what they did and how they move, and that's how I kind of took a little bit from each one of their little routines and how they played on the field, and it's how they navigated their daily walk. So I think it's just and they learn from those guys that you mentioned earlier. So it's just that standard is the standard, holding each other accountable.
It's all cliches, but cliches are a cliche for a reason, because most of the time they're 100% true. And one guy on your team actually played with those guys and is still there, Ben Roethlisberger. And there's been a lot of turnover, new offensive coordinator. Ben has a new elbow, new life routines, you name it, everything like that. How has he looked this year? Because in the second half, it looked like that offense started clicking. Was there any questions in the offseason by the defense? Like, hey, this offense doesn't look like what it used to look like. Was there anything like that? Or did you guys know, like, inevitably Ben Roethlisberger is going to be Ben Roethlisberger and things are going to start going?
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. We knew at the end of the day Ben is going to be Ben. I say that all the time. I've been asked this question in media and when I'm walking down the street. I think Ben has been a guy that's been slept on since he's been in the league. He's a great player. He has a great arm. I think he looks even better than what he did before the surgery. He, in practice, you can tell, especially when he's angry and he's playing with that chip on his shoulder, there's nobody that's better than him. So there's nobody I want to have back there besides him. And, we have a young offense, but, the reason why we're out there as a defense is, to get them back on the field. And we're going to do our best every single game to get them out there, get them more opportunities to get the ball. We're going to try and score with the ball. We got it, but, we're going to try and get it to them as well.
You shit talk a lot or no? You quiet?
Nah. It depends, man. If you get me angry, I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna talk a lot, but I try to do most of the talking with my game.
I'm gonna talk a lot. You say so. You get. What do you go deep? Do you have research done on people you're potentially playing against and know some things? You do some research.
I do a little research. Because you gotta know where to hit people. You know what I'm saying? But you also gotta know who you can and can't talk to. Because there's some dudes you talk to them and then they kind of flip that switch too. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you get a call.
That's probably somebody you talk shit to, by the way. That's probably somebody you talk shit to. Like, hey, let me ruin this. That's amazing. Who's somebody you played against in the NFL that made you like open your eyes and realize like, oh, this is the men's league? Because you're playing at Alabama. Obviously, you guys just churn out pros. Is there anybody in the NFL that maybe you saw and you were like, hey, this is a different level here now? The NFL is much different than even the SEC.
Yeah, it would be my rookie year. I was kind of moving between nickel and corner, and it was like maybe week 8 or 9. We played against the Colts, and it was Andrew Luck and T.Y. Hilton, and I was kind of shadowing T.Y. All over the field. He's playing in the slot a lot, so I was covering him, and I was doing a pretty good job. And then he ran a seam route, like we call it a chop route, seam route, slot fade, and I was hip to hip, great coverage with him, and Andrew Luck just put the ball like right on his hip. I like turned, I looked, I was like, there's no way he's gonna put the ball right there. I went to the sideline, I went to the coach, I called upstairs, I was like, hey, like what can I do better? He was like, look, there's just sometimes just can't do nothing about it, man. And I was like, I guess so. That was definitely one of the moments where I was like, dang, like, this is the league. This is a real deal.
Welcome to the NFL. And T.Y. and Andrew, by the way, did that to basically everybody, not just you. And I think when Andrew retired, I think T.Y. was maybe the most disheartened human on earth for that whole thing. Still an absolute stud. We appreciate Minkah Fitzpatrick joining us right now. Go ahead, Ty Schmidt.
Minkah, a lot of the guys we talked to last year said one of the hardest things about the COVID year, defensively specifically, was like you guys had to bring your own juice to get up for the games without the crowd being there. Going into Buffalo first week, obviously with a hostile environment, their fans haven't really got to experience, them being really good again. Like, did it feel could you feel like you were going back to normal a little bit? Like, was it just easier to get up for that game than maybe some of the games last year?
The energy in that stadium was nuts. There were series where we're on defense, and I'm talking to people. I couldn't even hear myself talk. We had to change. We had to go to hand signals because we couldn't even hear anything. I'm talking to guys, and I'm like, we're on defense, and they're screaming like that. So it was definitely good to have people back in the stadium, even if it wasn't our fans. You know what I'm saying? We were feeding off of them as well. And then once they got quiet, towards the end of the game, it's even more of a energy boost to us for sure.
The Yinzers are going to be outrageous at Heinz Field. I mean, it is going to be.
Can't wait for it.
It is. I mean, the Yinzers are going to be coming out of every hill in Pittsburgh, rolling into Heinz Field, ready to just absolutely lose their fucking minds. Last question here from Connor. We appreciate your time here, Minkah. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, Minkah, obviously you guys had a lot of rookies playing on offense, but I believe you had a few on defense as well. Are you already at the point where you can kind of help guys, adjust to the league and learn in the defense?
Oh, yeah, for sure. We have a couple new guys, Trey Norwood. James Pierce is tier 2 guy, played for us a little bit last year, that's playing for us. a couple of just new guys we got in camp. And, I think I'm definitely at the point where I'm taking them just under my wing. All the DBs, me, Trey, Cam, are just taking them and telling them, look, like this is how we move, this is how we do things around here. Teaching them the scheme, you know what I'm saying, and just coaching them up, you know what I'm saying. And most of the time we just say, just watch and learn, you know what I'm saying, and that's how we teach around here.
Hey, we appreciate you so much for joining us. I'll let Colbert and Tomlin know they got to fucking pay you. All right, you deserve it, and we appreciate you so much, man. Keep crushing it out there. Have a great week.
Appreciate you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's an absolute stud.
Yeah,
so good. I knew of him in Alabama, obviously. Then he went down to Miami, and no offense, Gump. All right, at that point, I wasn't paying attention to Miami. I'm not sure anybody was, okay, other than the Dolphins faithful. Whenever they traded a first-round pick, though, for a guy, immediately after Roethlisberger gets hurt, I think the immediate reaction in Pittsburgh was like, why are we fucking mail it in on the year?
Yeah.
Like, hey, just mail it in on the year. Let's go ahead and do this. And Tomlin and Colbert were like, no. Defense can actually just get us to the playoffs. And the sons of bitches almost did.
Yeah.
I mean,
You trade a first-round pick for a guy in Pittsburgh, better be a damn good player.
And he has been, by the way.
Yeah.
He's loved back there.
Stud.
Huh? He's
Love
loved. Yeah, the Yinzers love Minkah. Because literally, as soon as he got there, I think he had a pick six first game.
Yeah.
I think like first game he had a pick six or something like that, and then it just started happening from there. And he flies around. He's like the perfect Steeler almost. And I assume his agent and representation know that as well.
Yeah.
All right, we got to get to a break. We'll be back on the other side with some phone calls on the 5-hour Energy phone line. Can't thank you enough for listening and watching. Let's have a hell of a fucking Wednesday and wrap this thing up in beautiful fashion. We'll see you in 4 minutes. Cheers. The NFL is implementing the Hawkeye replay system, which has the smart technology, which is synchronized multi-angle replay technology, which allows the ref to view all of the shots and angles of a certain play at the same damn time, as opposed to what they've been doing all along, which is TV producers deciding what replays they see when. Are you kidding me?
Unbelievable.
What? Now, we know a lot about these TV producers, okay?
Yeah.
I couldn't see Joey George Chestnut eat his 76th fucking hot dog, all right? Bullshit. On 4th of July to break his own record because of a production. We've seen a lot of other rather terrible decisions made in television, in broadcasting of games made. Those same people now, I'm learning, were the people that were deciding what angles the 95-year-old refs in the NFL were getting to see. This is absurd. Thankful that the XFL, who had the Hawkeye smart technology, synchronized multi-angle replay technology, either created, invented, or used from other places, like tennis has this, I believe. I like that we're expediting the replay system. I like that we're getting up with the times. Replay should be an asset to the NFL, as opposed to what it is, which seems to be a burden. The pass interference replay thing, because of how terrible they botched the execution of that, it probably will never be brought up or, thought about again, because fans will be able to say, oh, remember when they did that last time? It's like, no, remember how they executed that last time. The replay system is run by people who have not a lot of experience with maybe quick, slow-mo, fast forward, maybe just content being in their face all day, every day. I like that we're making this better. It's better for the game. It's better for everybody. There's a lot of money on the line. Let's not let an opportunity pass where we can utilize technology to make sure the right shit gets done. Let's just do it in a much more efficient fashion. I've always felt that way, AJ.
Well, it's much more efficient, but it makes me question, how did we go this long to where a TV producer is controlling what replays, what angles you're going to see, for the referee, that kind of blows my mind when you think about it.
Yeah, I read it yesterday and I almost axled my pants.
Yeah.
I didn't, because I'm an adult, but you get it.
Right. I don't know. I bet you have in the last 5 years.
No, I haven't, but I had. There was that one time where I thought it was going to be a sound, and it was actually action.
Yeah, a little close. That's a different story, though.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't a full axle, I don't think.
Yeah, no, sharding is not pooping.
Step in it.
Whoa, I have a little couth on for the goddamn good of the show. But speaking of that, I was quite alarmed whenever I read that TV producer. I'm like, the same people that are making a lot of the decisions that we get a chance to witness every single week are the same people that are deciding whether or not a play that I have a lot of money riding on potentially is overturned or not. I am not about that.
This is the Pat McAfee Show on Sirius XM Mad Dog Sports Radio. We thank you for taking the time to seek out this small regional show that streams internationally. Here's Pat and the boys.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an announcement to make. The player with the best untouched touchdown this past week, as decided by actual voters. I think over 10,000 people voted on Bruce Brown's poll.
Wow.
The winner of the best untouched touchdown of week 1 was Tyreek Hill.
Okay. The cheetah.
It was on the one where...
Fuck
and then turn around spin. He was going to do a backflip and say he just did a spin and walked in there. Unbelievable score. I think we all could have potentially known that Tyreek was maybe going to get one.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about some others. We didn't say Chubb, though. I mean, Chubb had a beautiful one. Lockett had one. I mean, there was a couple out there.
6 guys for the Saints.
Yeah, exactly. A bunch of guys on the Saints. Like Cam Jordan almost had an untouched touchdown somehow. But if you tweeted Tyreek with the hashtag PMS Untouched last week, stay tuned tomorrow to see if you won a Soft Spa 9500 bidet from Fluid Master.
Okay.
If you missed out on Tyreek's Untouched Tutty, use promo code PAT4930 for $49.30 off at fluidmaster.com. I will say, it is expensive.
Very expensive.
But it is worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. Luxury.
There ain't nothing like having a completely clean and fresh undercarriage after taking a massive grump.
No.
That's right.
Nothing better.
Promo code PAT4930 for $49.30 off. That was my average 2016, my punt average.
Damn. Not bad.
Yeah, pretty good. Remember that when you're watching games. That's what I averaged.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to hear some 48-yard punts. What a ball. Yeah. That would have been a below average ball for me last year. That was with a dislocated kneecap. People seem to forget. Pat 4930, $49.30 off of fluidmaster.com. Anything you buy. Soft Spot 9500 bidet from Fluidmaster could be yours if you tweet, maybe right now, hashtag PMS Untouched and Tyreek Hill. We will not do this next week.
No.
Now you know that it is an actual prize and an actual thing we'll stick with. So if you tweet right now, Tyreek Hill, with hashtag PMS Untouched, you'll probably be also entered in there because I'm not sure Bruce Brown has figured out how to handle this entire thing yet at all.
I do not think he has.
Let's take advantage of them. Also, today's show is brought to you by
3 and Outs, Naked Bootlegs, Apple Pie, John Deere, and the Bird Dogs Joggers.
Oh.
That's America.
Yeah, you're goddamn right.
Previously only available in Navy, you can now get your Bird Dogs Joggers in khaki and black. They are moving very quick. So get on it now.
At the door.
Yeah, at the door is right.
At the door.
And that's right. The most comfortable shorts ever made are now available in joggers. Look at these things. They are so damn comfortable. Go to birddogs.com, enter promo code PATSBALL, and they'll throw in a free Bird Dogs whistle tip football with your order. You gonna let it rip?
Well, I was going to throw it into the top of that thing, but what we do need to say about these joggers, you need to order them a size up.
Yeah, definitely order them a size up.
Definitely need to order them a size up.
That's birddogs.com, promo code PATSBALL, and boom! A free Bird Dogs whistle tip football along with your pair of Bird Dogs.
Is that a way to make a play for your QB right there?
Check out the shorts, the pants, and now the Bird Dogs joggers. You will not want to take these things off, we promise you.
That thing was going to snipe that jersey over your shoulder if you did not catch that. I mean, I whistled that Pat's ball in there.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Bird Dog, shout out to you, shout out to Fluid Master. That soft spot 9500 bidet, though, is no joke.
No.
They got so many different levels of pressure to clean that thing out.
It's unbelievable.
We had a plumber come in and plug a couple in here.
Yep.
Notice the boys are taking a little bit longer on their daily grumpy routines.
They need to.
Why not live high life with our friends at Fluid Master and look damn good while being incredibly comfortable with our friends at Bird Dogs? They literally stole Lululemon's designer and made it better because they have built-in underwear. But the joggers, you need to order a size up.
Yep, go one up.
Let's go to the 5-Hour Energy phone line, shall we?
Hell yeah.
Let's run through these and hear what the people got to say out there. Let's go to Gabriel in Texas. Gabriel, what's going on, pal?
How you doing, Pat? Two things. I just want to say, Tone killed the pod. It's obvious Tone doesn't want to do the pod no more.
Listen, hold on. We got to address that because Tone is currently away in isolation because of close contact. Tone was the one that did not want to do that thing more than once. I don't want to throw him.
Obvious.
Yeah, I will say, I just want to let the pod listeners know the pod is my favorite podcast out there. It's hilarious. It's these idiots who I get to be around just unloading on everything on the internet. It is absolutely ridiculous. I broach. I say, hey, boys, you think maybe you need to take away one if everything else is getting too heavy? And, everybody seemed distraught. And then I came back 2 minutes later and was like, decision has been made. Yeah. Decision has been made. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll take the blame for it, I guess. But now he's not here, and he's going to be joining Hammer Dahn via his laptop like 4 o'clock-ish or so at 4:05. I mean, Dahn was a pretty big part of that whole thing going down. I mean, I think everybody else was potentially as well, though, because I'm getting a lot of eyes right now from everybody else in the pod. I don't know if Diggs was the only one.
I wasn't even here.
Oh, yeah, he was still in the cover.
I didn't know about it.
Yeah,
so.
Gumpy loves the pod.
I'd go 4 or 5 times a week.
Gump's a trooper.
Yeah, Gump is a trooper. Gabriel, what do you want to talk about, pal? What's that, Nick?
Much like someone who, like the Teamsters back in the day, there's always a president and someone in charge of the union, let's say.
Yeah.
Tone was that guy. Tone Unions really just took it upon his shoulders to carry the message.
Hey, listen, Tone Union's a lot like Vinny Union.
Oh, that's right.
Vinny Unions of the Colombo family just got busted because he's on wiretap saying, "Use guys," literally they type out, "Use guys are going to fucking hire our guy." And then use guys are going to listen to fucking everything he says. That's awesome. The Colombo family just got busted. An 86-year-old man, Italian man, just got busted for still running the racket over there in New York. It's great to hear that us Italians still got our fastball. And then it was reported by the FBI in that same article, hey, the underbelly of the New York crime situation is still alive and well. I obviously, Tone has been saying this. The Italians don't sleep, all right?
No.
This and something happened. The Colombo family goes down. Vinny Unions takes a bad hit with the wiretapping. But Tone Unions was the leader of the charge of going down to 1 a week. I believe now that he's not here, we can officially bury him alive for that. What do you want to talk about, Gabe?
One thing that kind of bothered me about HBO Hard Knocks is that it was obvious that Dak does not have a relationship with Mike McCarthy at all. Do you think it's because it was both seasons was like kind of COVID and they didn't get to spend much time together? Or because there was like 2 things that really pointed it out was when Mike pulls him out from the first practice and then he goes to CD and says, "Your guy pulled me."
So
that's pretty choice language.
So Gabriel, I think that is true, and great question. He's a Cowboys fan, obviously, and also in that first episode, you could also point to the situation where Mike McCarthy said, "I'm just busting your balls, Dak."
Yeah.
Like I think they were still learning a lot about each other at that particular point. By episode 4, though, I felt as if Dak and Mike McCarthy were on the same page, just personally. Now, if you didn't watch the last episode, maybe, and if you watch the entire thing, maybe you have a different read. I watched episode 1 and then episode 4. Episode 1, I had the same thoughts as you, Gabriel. By episode 4, it felt like they were back on the same page, or on the same page, and it felt like Dak realized, like, oh, this guy's a yinzer. I can literally, like, talk shit to this guy. This is how this relationship can go, because Jason Garrett, I assume, much different human than Mike McCarthy.
Oh, yeah.
The last shot of this season of the show was them slow-mo walking off the practice field laughing and kind of like pushing each other. Like, and it was, very evident, like, oh, okay, these guys have, their relationship has grown quite a bit, in the last 4 weeks.
Yinzers are people that I think potentially, now I'm not saying, oh, this is a broad brush, but I've always said, like, if you want to know how somebody feels about America, drop me into the middle of a country, okay? Because I am the stereotypical dumb American. You drop me in, people are going to know I'm an American as soon as you drop me in there, and I'll be able to tell you immediately how the citizens of the place feel about it. I feel like I'm a rather okay representation of Yinzers as well, I think.
Yeah.
And the way I get treated with a lot, if you've never experienced a person from Pittsburgh, you could be, taken back a little bit early. But once you understand the nuance, like, oh, okay, literally this person is just here for a good time. It might be a little bit of a thick skin, but hey, we're going to have. I think once you get past that initial thing, it's a big breakthrough. And I'd assume a lot of Yinzers experience this. And Mike McCarthy is probably no different at all, I'd assume, in this case.
It was culture shock when I came to the Midwest and everyone was so nice. And then I speak with this monotone voice and the dry tone, and everyone thinks I'm being completely literal with everything I say.
Oh, and you're an asshole. That's right.
Yeah, see, now I'm the bad guy. But no, I'm just from Pittsburgh. It's just how I was raised.
That's just how we do it. That's just how we go. Hey, I'm proud of it, too.
Hell yeah.
Like, if I tell you to fuck off, that's probably a compliment. You know, but sometimes people do not take it that way. And it's like, I am so sorry. Everybody's much nicer from where you're from. Where we're from, we're just trying to survive and tell people to have a good time. But also, fuck off.
Oh, yeah. Damn it.
What's that?
Fuck off. Damn it.
Oh, yeah. All right. Let's go to the phones here. Let's go back to the 5-hour energy phone line. Let's go to Jordan in Ohio. Ohio, a pretty similar place, by the way, I believe. That's why we get along so well with a lot of people from Ohio. Jordan, what's going on?
Hey, shout out Pat and the boys. How's it going?
Shout out.
Quick thing. Glad we all can agree on the power rankings being a whole bunch of fugazi. And my question
We
for
already
you guys
did enough
is,
for them. I mean, this is a 75-ounce cup. One flip on that thing.
I will say I did fade away right when.
No,
it
you
landed.
didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
I'm watching the replay right now.
Nah, you didn't. All right, sorry about that, pal. I mean, that was an aggressive decision by me, and I'm not going to do it again because I'm not 100% sure. That is a tough cup to one flip right
Won't
there.
happen again.
It's all right, Cito. Hey, shot 5-hour energy.
I just saw it. You could see it flip over.
All right, Jordan, sorry for interrupting. I did
Sorry,
a flip cup while you were speaking, and to be honest, it was an aggressive decision, especially with how big this fucking cup is. And if it's not a red solo, also the balance of it is potentially off. Sometimes you walk into a party and they want you to play flip cup, and they got these Mickey Mouse cups, and it's like, excuse me, this is not regulation, all right? And if you get a win, it's a fugazi win, because this cup is much different than the regulation red solo cup that we can flip, all right? This cup is not supposed to be done in a flip cup right
Got
here.
juiced cups, can't do it.
Can't do it. It seems like your lip's a little bit more bouncy than a red solo cup. Are you doing that on purpose or not? I'm gonna put a little foam down then. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'll put foam down right here on your fucking table. You're gonna give me these Mickey Mouse cups. I will do it. And then there's always an okay, we're dealing with the same cups. Yeah, but you've been practicing with this shit.
That's right.
I've come straight out of the fucking Super Bowl with the red solo cup. I don't need your bullshit Mickey Mouse cups. Hey, will somebody go get some actual cups? None of us have any money. All right, so we'll use these bullshit cups. We'll play this game. We'll play your game by your rules. Anyways, shout out to you, Zito. Shout out to 5. We did get it.
Oh, nice.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, Zito.
What a baby Zeke.
All right, sorry about that, Jordan. A little bit of an overreaction here. A little bit of an overreaction. Jordan, what do you want to talk about, man? By the way, Flip Cup is the best party game. I understand there are other places that don't play it, and they're, maybe they play like, obviously beer pong, but then there's like the dice game that people play.
Yeah, baseball.
There's a lot of games that people play, and I enjoy it. We're all trying to get to the same place, okay? Everybody's trying to get to the same place in different fashions. I just have yet to experience a game that creates the environment that Flip Cup does if you have 5 good players on each team. And if you continue to play, not survivor mode, by the way, because then it becomes beer pong where there's only one person or whatever. You got to do a best of 21. You got to do a best of 33.
Hell yeah.
Okay, and you really got to let that thing build. It's a slow play. It's a great play. And whenever somebody hits a game winner, one flip, boom, the electricity and the immediate shit talk to the other team. Oh, you feel like a god in there. I guess beer pong can create that as well, but normally it's a little bit different crowd.
Takes too long.
Yeah, Gauntlet's like a combination of the two.
Is that the one where the cups are on the corners?
No, that's 6 cups, 3 flip cups. You flip them, then you got to hit a shot, and it's like a relay. You pass to the next person. 6 people a team.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Very fun.
So you guys try to make beer pong a little bit more electric by adding Flip Cup in it.
Exactly.
I respect that. I like the evolution of games and drinking games. I've been out of the game a long time. I couldn't even tell you the last time I walked into a house party.
True.
Could you imagine?
Well, COVID.
Imagine any of us walking into a house party. Hey, where's the keg at?
Yeah.
Guys playing Flip Cup. I'm going full cup. What are we doing here? So it's a much different world, I'd assume. What's Mitt playing? Mitt's playing that one, the Gauntlet game?
Mitt's doing IPAs.
Yeah.
He has 4 of them and he passes out.
He's
That's
just
a much
drinking
different
6 IPAs and blacking out.
Hey, well, except for that last sentence there. Very mature of you, by the way, to be an IPA guy, Mitt. None of us would have guessed that.
We call it Beirut.
Let's go.
Oh, man, those people.
Let's go back to Jordan in Ohio. What's going on, Jordan? Sorry about that, man. Something happened here while you were on the call. It's magic when you're around.
It's all right. Hey, I wanted to talk about Mike Vrabel calling out Julio Jones, telling him, stop doing dumb shit. You think that's a good idea, and how do you think Julio will react to that?
So I think that's how Vrabel is as a coach. I think he's very similar to that. And Jordan's from Ohio. I think Vrabes is from Ohio too. Is Vrabes from Ohio?
I believe so.
He acts like he's from Ohio. I think he's always been a hands-on guy, tough guy. I think what people have told me about him, we've said this numerous times, this guy could put an entire tin of dip in his mouth, smoke an entire pack of cigarettes, drink an entire case of beer, and still beat everybody in the conditioning at 5:36 a.m. Like, that is what that type of guy he is. That's why he has the friends he has. That's why he's respected by people. So I assume that hard-nosed, like, hey, stop fucking around. It's just how he carries his entire culture. I'd assume Julio understands that, appreciates that. And Julio has to know, too, like, hey, it was a big-time offseason. A lot of things happen. Can't be making dumb mistakes and move forward. But that's how Vrabel handles it. Some people might handle it a little bit differently.
Well, and I'm sure some of those like top-tier guys, like Aaron has told us, like Peyton and stuff like that, like they want to be coached still. You know, like everyone's always just talking about, like, hey, it's everyone else, and then there's Julio. Like, I'm sure every once in a while, like, he doesn't mind someone chewing his ass and letting him know that, like, hey, I still got to coach you up here.
Yeah, and Julio, by the way, new home.
Yeah.
He knows he can't have that happen.
Right.
No.
We're wrapping up hour 3 here this Wednesday, September 15th. We're going to go to a 6-minute break, and Chris Mad Dog Russo with Mad Dog Unleashed will be on the other side. How will the tone be set for the after-hour show that is about to start on youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show? We find out in 3, 2. Show's going to stink.
Yep.
I knew I wasn't going to make it again, by the way. That's why I was so frustrated with that first one. That's a tall cup.
Massive.
I got to land it on the early side.
See, I don't know if you'll ever get that again.
Me neither.
Oh, under the...
This show fucking stinks.
There it is.
There we go.
That's what you got to do with the tall boys.
Hell yeah.
I forgot about that because it's been a long time since I've done the whole thing. Exactly. It's a great day to be alive. Chris Mad Dog Russo with Mad Dog Unleashed is on the other side. PMS After Hours continues at YouTube. We'll see you tomorrow with an incredible Thursday. Coach Tomlin will join us. Cheers. That son of a bitch cup.
It's a big boy.
That's what you got to do with the big cup. So you got to take it back and bring her back.
Overshoot.
How do I forget that?
Bounce on the front rim.
Yeah, well, you got to just take it all the way north and then bring it back south. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stupid. I think I've lost it. No, there it is.
Yeah, see,
Boom.
there it is.
Yeah. Too much. Fuck you, cup. Yeah.
There it is.
Golly. I'm happy we didn't walk into any house parties that had flip cup, because if I made that type of mistake in public, I wouldn't have been able to sleep for a couple of nights.
Different situation, though.
Yeah, well, if you walk into a house and they're using this for flip cup,
Yeah, you can't be going to house parties drinking, playing flip cup with those glasses.
Hey, by the way,
anymore.
you're walking into some professionals.
Yeah.
Okay, if they're lining up, you guys won't go? Here we go. Best of 33.
Go give me 6 beers to fill this up.
That was always my go-to late if it was getting tight. All right, who's going full? You're going full cup against me? Yeah. And then you just start stacking those things, and in the best of 17 or whatever, that guy is going to have to chug probably 8 full beers with me. And I know that even if these flips aren't coming on one flips, puke is coming out of that side. There's been a couple times we had a team, like we had a pretty good squad that would just walk into places, and it was like, oh, you guys want to play a little flip cup? Yeah, let's go ahead and play. We had a squad. And it might have been a night or two where somebody was offering or whatever, and it may be like the second game where I'm asking the guy across 8, you want to go full cup? And they're like, yeah, and everybody on the team's like, all right, we already went to that playbook. All right, we already went through the playbook and found that move. Probably going to have to carry Pat out of here, but we will get the win on this entire thing. It was a fun time. Those are long, those days are long gone.
Long gone.
Man, every once in a while it's nice to have one of those moments there, Will.
Yeah. It's a good
Drinking
run.
30 beers in a night.
What?
Hey, it do be like that. It used to be like that. Legit. Like, that's why when we talked about the substance of abuse program or whatever, like, I was doing some reckless shit. And it was because it was like, hey, the fast drinking monkey guy just showed up, you know, like, hey, go ahead and
dance.
I was getting celebrated and into rooms because of how accomplished of a chugger and drinker I was. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, you can't do that with anyone. It's like literally all my friends are wild party animals. Well, you can't even be taking a picture with you and alcohol or whatever. It's like, oh, so I guess I just have no more friends anymore?
I have no friends.
So I went out one time. I tried to go out one time with them, and I was like, I'll order a Red Bull or whatever. And everybody was just kind of looking at me like,
chug it.
What are you doing? I was like, you're right. Just because my life stinks doesn't mean you guys have to. I'll see you in 27 months. I was going home or whatever. It was a game life changer for me. Those were good times back in the day, though. And then whenever the lockout happened, we got back into the game. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
Back in the game. We had a hell of a run. That was like 100 and some days straight where I was just abusing my liver. We were winning a lot of flip cup games, though. I mean, it was a good time to be back. It was great to be back. It was like Jordan coming back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
I mean, even when we first moved down here to work for you, like, you were kind of out of it, but there would just be random days where you'd be like, yeah, I'm going to have to drink 65 beers today.
Yeah,
You know?
like that is
just going to have to do
like
it.
there's some of those events that happen where it's like, all right, this is going to have to happen. And by the way, I had to set my mind to that so that I wouldn't end up like mid or whatever. It's
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
there is a way that you can power through however much you drink, but you have to. I had to have a full conversation with myself. Like, okay, today I'm probably going to have to drink. And people say you don't have to do anything. It's like, okay, if I don't want to get booed out of this parking lot here,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to have to drink like 25 beers today and still be able to do everything that I have to do and then just keep it moving and act like nothing happened. That's a real mental toughness test. You know what I mean? That's a real, and also his stomach, you start feeling a little bubbly.
Oh,
or
yeah. Couple
that
pisses.
event up at the New England Patriots Stadium, that was the first time Foxy traveled with me.
Yeah.
I think it was like 24 beers were chugged, and they were like coming up
Thursday afternoon.
Big boys.
Yeah, they were coming out like this cup right
Yes.
here. Because once you do one, like, okay, everybody wants a shot. They're like, oh, hey, I want to chug with you or whatever. And it's not like, hey, I want to celebrate this. It's I want to beat you in a chug.
Challenge.
So that I can tell people I beat you. And I took a lot of pride in the fact that, no, you won't. Even if you're 30, even if I'm 30 deep, I'm not going to let you go tell anybody. And that was to my detriment, I found out. That was to my detriment. Virginia Tech was another place.
Oh, yeah.
Virginia Tech, we were down there for the Barstool Tailgate Show, and we had next to no internet. I mean, that's in the middle of the hills, too, out there. And they actually throw beers.
They were
Full
fucking
beers.
wild.
They are insane. West Virginia's playing Virginia Tech, I think, this weekend, maybe in Blacksburg, I think. It was awesome.
It was
there.
so much fun.
It was they were maniacs over there. I mean, absolute, because it's literally out in the middle of the mountains. I did not know Virginia Tech was out in the middle of it. It's way out there. And then you get to that one parking lot tailgate area. It was reckless in there.
Kids getting hit by cars on those scooters.
It was awesome. I mean, I did not expect that out of there, but that was another day where it was, I think, like 15 to 16 beers or whatever.
And then you did a live show.
Then we did a live show. And there was somebody. Youngstown was awesome. Had to go. There was a kid and his friends talking shit, calling me a coward and a bitch because he was chugging against me. And I'm like, I see your tweets.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing. And I think he had a half a beer left or something like that.
Yikes.
And by the end of the season, my liver was about done.
You stopped drinking.
I did. I completely stopped drinking because I was so sick. I had to retire the chug. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I can't do it. Because it was just, I have so much respect for people that chug beers. So much respect for people that chug beers because it literally, you go all the way back to Ziggy Zoggy, oi, oi, oi. What was his name? I forget his name. You know who I'm talking.
Fox? Red Fox? Is one of those two or combination of them.
He was on the Man Show.
Yeah, that guy.
He ended every show with two mugs, frosted mugs, and then he literally just inhaled them out of there. And it's like, that's how they ended the show because the entire place was, when you see somebody do that, you just go crazy, you know? And I'd always been able to chug Gatorade well. Like when I was a kid, I was always able to chug Gatorade and water well. And then what I found out was beer's actually easier than those two things. So it was like the carbonation actually makes that thing cook. So I did well. I'd lost one time, 2 times in my life.
Bill Foster, the Fox.
Yeah, he was the best, dude. Fucking, he was on the piano too, wasn't he? Didn't he have a piano, and then he had these 2 things. That was he would just literally dump an entire thing in there.
Ziggy Zoggy.
It would go crazy.
Weapon.
It would go crazy. It was awesome. I think maybe that's when I started chugging like Gatorades or whatever, and then that carried into just housing beers. We were a natural light school. Yeah, that guy was fucking awesome, dude. Those beers would be deleted before you could even say, how many beers? It was unbelievable. I think he's passed away. Rest in peace. Moment of silence for this man. He committed a lot of his body and health to the entertainment chain, and we appreciate the hell out of him. Rest in peace, Fox.
Rest in peace.
The real Fox.
Thank you, Fox.
What was that all about?
I don't know. I hand up. I don't know who that guy was, but he sounds like a legend. Is he related?
Well, that's because he's from the Man Show. So, of course, you would know nothing about
it. Or maybe you guys are just older than me and I missed that one.
Well, yeah, of course you missed it because the name of the show. We saw that you missed that last night, by the way. This guy couldn't get the fucking lid off of a trash can. There was like one of those bigger trash cans had a lid on it. Foxy was like, hey, anybody need anything? And I'll throw your stuff away, like being a hero almost. Walks over to this trash can, and me and Nick are standing right next to him. And obviously, we're not paying attention to what he's doing. We're continuing to walk our way there. And then all of a sudden, we just hear this noise happening, and it's Foxy fighting a trash can. Couldn't get the lid.
Oh, it's stuck.
Look,
It must be clean.
We are at the brand new Coliseum, and I do not want to be the first one to break something. So, you know, I had a little touch. I had a little finesse. I wouldn't go bulldozing in there and just break the trash can because I wouldn't hear the end of it.
It's a garbage can, Fox.
What do you think you're going to do by lifting up the lid of a trash can?
If I break it, I'm not going to hear the end of it forever.
But instead, in front of me and Nick, you completely embarrassed yourself and got alphaed by a trash can.
Good
And that's what I'm
God.
saying. I think this generation needs the man show back.
Yeah.
Like, if he would have known who Ziggy Zoggy, oi, oi, oi guy was, he obviously opens that trash can lid with no problems at all. Instead, he's bum fucking around. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Good God,
me and Nick
Foxy.
literally just stopped and looked at him. We're like, are you kidding me right now? And then, by the way, I went to open it later.
Pop right off.
Yeah, I showed you the way.
Easy.
You didn't loosen the fucking lid, dude.
Yeah, I screwed that thing for you.
Let's go to some phone calls here. Let's clean this thing up. 24,000 people. Why? What are you doing? Thank you. Why? You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Fair question.
Did anybody tweet hashtag PMS untouched? Tyreek?
I'm sure.
Find
There are
out.
a few little
Brown?
entries.
I don't fully understand how they're going to pick that. What if because he could only put on Twitter poll 4 of them. What if there's 5, 6 of them?
Oh, there were plenty. Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson. I mean, there were a
Justin
bunch
Fields.
of players. Fields got touched.
Yeah.
No, he did not get touched.
I think he did. Yeah, it was actually a run on a
He,
power.
had to dive. Yeah.
Yeah, no one goes in his way.
Goal line run.
Nobody gets in his way, though, yeah. Except for Andy Dalton.
Very true. Very true.
Oh, that was deep. Let's go to some phone calls here. Tone was in the comment section, I heard. Old Tone Diggs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said the pot stinks.
Did he really?
Tony.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so he didn't say, no, it wasn't me. He actually.
First was saying unbelievable, all lies, and he said, fuck it, pot stinks.
It was me.
Tony.
Hey, he might be dealing with COVID right now. We don't know.
That's good. That's a good point.
I was in a bad mood, too. Remember whenever I came on with Aaron, I actually hung up on Aaron and AJ twice.
Yeah.
I would never do that. Sometimes you can be in a bad mood. I'm not saying he has COVID either. He's just close contact. So
That's right.
he's battling over there.
Stay safe.
He was the reason, though, that the pod went down to 1. I mean,
And now, look what he's doing to Hammer Down. Won't even make a primetime Monday Night Football game. Won't make a pick.
what is this all about?
Tony.
Maybe it's because of close contact. They said the incubation period 5 to 7 days.
Yeah.
So maybe this is all happening.
Jesus.
Tony.
Fuck
Tony.
Fuck it, man. Pod stinks, dude. Everybody's passive aggressively blaming me. It is me.
Tony.
Tom. He's fucking isolation right now.
Oh, yeah.
Still love you, Tom.
Yeah, we do.
Love you, Tom.
We love you for that, actually.
Yeah.
That is exactly.
He's seething with rage right now.
He's fucking. It does stink.
You know
Okay.
Fuck it.
Him just. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Fuck it. Let's go to the phones. Aaron in Tampa, 5-hour energy phone line. What's going on, Aaron?
Hey, Pat. Good day. Just want to shout out store.patmcafeeshow.com. Took advantage of that 20% off. Order shipped within 3 hours.
Let's go! Store. Hey, Bruce and CFO Phil has got the store operating on at a high level. We appreciate hearing that, Aaron. Normally, we only hear people pissed off. That's good news. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. I wanted to talk about the last drive of regular time of the Raiders and Ravens game. Brian Edwards got 2 passes, and both times, and Peyton Manning even called it out, he didn't hand the ball to the ref.
Yeah, he put it on the ground.
Yeah, and then on the rule book, it even says that ball is technically not even ready for play. So should they have gotten a delay of game and maybe a 10-second runoff and really not even won that game?
You
Should
saw
they get
the
it taken away?
You saw the judge or whatever it is went and grabbed the ball and actually moved it back a yard, and I think the second time they did as well. I don't think it can go from player to player. I think a ref has to set it. I do believe. So I'm not sure if the ref set it on the second one. That guy had a C on his chest though too, I think. He was a captain of the Raiders. Whenever Peyton saw it the first time, we all saw it, by the way. Peyton pointed that out. and then he literally did it like the next play or whatever. It's like, is that what they're being taught, to put the ball back on the hash where it's at? Because that is absolutely wrong. The rule is by everybody. It's yelled all the time. Hand the ball to the ref, and you heard Manning says, because the refs can't fucking catch.
Yeah.
So the last thing you want, and by the way, I don't think that's true, but I think it's eliminating a potential failure there. The last thing you want is a good toss to the ref, and all of a sudden that ref, for whatever reason, is looking down in the spot, and that ball gets bobbled away 5-6 yards, which could happen. It's just pretty standard, I think, in every football place I've ever been. You sprint that thing to the ref, you hit nice clean handoff, and then you either get off the line or on the line, wherever you're at, and they're going to spike that thing. I mean, it's just pretty standard operation, but that's a good call down there, Aaron. That was something we missed, mostly because there was so much other fuckery at the end of that game that it kind of got swallowed up in that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really even thinking. I mean, until Peyton mentioned that, but you do think about it. It's like, oh shit, yeah, you really don't see that very often, almost never.
Putting it on the ground is because if you're on the Ravens defense, I'm surprised nobody kicked it.
Yeah.
You know, laying on top of guys is something. There's like a lot of little gamesmanship that is like, hey, if you lay on top of a guy because you're uncomfortable, you know, maybe 3 seconds, like 2 seconds, the ref will tell you to get up. You get up. You don't cause any problems, but tick, 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 tick. The ball to the ref, tick, tick. There's a lot of that. I'm very surprised nobody accidentally was running like a D tackle. Calais Campbell accidentally just hit. Oh, shit, I didn't even know that was. Sorry about that. And then what are the refs going to do? The refs aren't happy that they put the ball on the ground anyway, so the refs aren't necessarily going to help you in that situation. It's just, there's a lot of those things that are happening. That's why I don't think, like, I think we should listen to Peyton in 2 minutes. Like, I think he should be dialed in 2 minutes. That's when he's at his best, by the way.
Guess, get out of there by then. Like, let's get Peyton, you know, breaking down every single play, because a few seconds did run off that first time Edwards placed the ball down because they moved back like 2 yards.
Yeah, and Peyton, that whole, him just being furious was so awesome to watch. Because that's what it was like in practice every day, you know?
Smallest things.
J-Mac, you remember J-Mac? He was equipment manager from Buffalo, I believe, basketball equipment manager. He has some sort of something.
Oh, the kid with autism who made 3-pointers.
Bingo, comes in and just lights it up. He was an equipment manager with the Colts every training camp. He and Tony Dungy had a great relationship. I think they met at the ESPYs. So he was always at training camp. And cool guy, by the way. J-Mac, incredibly cool guy, high energy guy you want to be around. He did a Peyton Manning impression. And a part of his Peyton Manning impression was, "Get over here, Austin." And it was because he did it so much. It was Austin Coley. Like, get your fucking ass over here. Like, that was a part of Apple, Omaha. Get over here, Austin, because that was kind of like how it was. But that type of like diligence to the details is why, you know, teams go and some teams don't. So those little things that people think are just little things, in Peyton's eyes, like all those little things are massive things, because if you let that happen, what else is potentially happening? You know what I mean? And it's just like, I was very lucky to watch that guy work. I've carried a lot of what he has done into this profession. It helped me immensely after he was gone in my punting thing. It was like that attention to detail is like the thing that I think Peyton is all about, and that's why he gets so pissed whenever he's watching. How are we letting this happen? How are you throwing the ball there when it's clearly, you know, like that is John Gruden watching the Manning thing back, and Peyton talking about a couple plays, you know, that he's potentially calling. I can't wait to hear Gruden be like, now I got to deal with the guy that I gave a fucking nickname to.
You're right, Peyton.
Yeah, I should have. I mean, I'll tell you what, man. You guys heard Peyton say he was right. I've probably 4 or 5 bad calls out there for me.
It did look like Peyton might have been watching a little film on you after they're going 6-11 after the first play with Overreaction Monday.
That was so hilarious.
Yeah, it was gold.
All right, here we go. First play. You can tell a lot about a team. You can tell a lot about a season, what their decision is, how the play goes. Darren Waller on a stop route. Yeah. Oh, all right. 6-11. 6-11.
Yeah.
That's what if he's, by the way, red 18, it hit.
Yep.
In my experience, and I've said since then, Peyton tells me to do something, I'm going to do it. It's just immediately after that red 18, because I saw him make everybody in money in that casino, including me. What if they go 6-11? People are going to go banana land.
Nuts.
Can we bet on them going 6-11? I'd assume, right?
I think you can definitely bet on records before the season. I don't know if they stay active during.
That'd be hilarious if he hits that. That'd be a very Peyton Manning thing to happen, by the way.
I told you.
First sentence of his watch. He predicts the team's record because of their first play of the season. 6-11, 6-11. All right. Let's go to John in Virginia. What's going on, John?
Hey, Pat, boys. How's it going?
What part of Virginia are you in? Are you near Blacksburg?
I went to school at Radford. I was going to say, those nerds don't know how to party. You got to go like 30 minutes south. It's all about Radford.
Oh, the Radford people aren't the nerds. The Virginia Tech people are the nerds?
Virginia Tech, they're nerds, don't know how to party. We teach them how to party. That's how it goes.
Was it you degenerates in that parking lot that I was in then for the tailgate of that goddamn game? It was insane up there.
Nah, funny enough, it is a lot of Radford kids that go to the Virginia Tech game, so it was probably a handful of those guys over there.
Hey, a lot of shit kickers, too.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of shit kickers out there. What do you want to talk about, John?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about how you made, you said -4.5 for the Cardinals. Yeah, lock that in. Take out a second mortgage because that is a lock. Kirk Cousins absolutely stinks. He's horrible.
This is why I'm taking him.
Just wanted, and I wanted to ask because, right, like, serious organization. When is it time to realize we need to get this guy out of here? We signed him 3 years originally. He's taken us to the playoffs once. Like, what is the guy going to do? He doesn't have the leadership. He doesn't get mad when they lose like the other elite quarterbacks. So when's it time for the organization to say, hey, let's do something else?
Well,
I'd much rather see Cam in there right now.
I appreciate that. That's going to happen all season with Cam not having a team as soon as the quarterback starts to stink. You got to factor in a couple things. Guaranteed money, which I think is what happened to Kirk.
Yeah.
Right? He has guaranteed cash. And also, like, him not being upset like the other elite quarterbacks, you have to watch that because you only get to see what they choose for you to see. And we talked about this with Jay Cutler. The TV places love showing Jay Cutler at his worst.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even if other quarterbacks have similar moments, it was very rarely shown on TV because they knew they had something with Jay Cutler. So I'm not sure if Kirk Cousins isn't mad about losing that game. They got beat most of that, came back and made it to overtime, obviously, with a long kick from Greg Joseph. But I don't know if Kirk Cousins is going to be the guy that's going to get them to a Super Bowl. He did win a playoff game on road down in New Orleans just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Now, though, there's a lot of other shit around Kirk Cousins, including this COVID situation with his head coach. And I don't know. It's hard to find a guy, though. I'm just going to let you know. It's hard to find a guy. And they paid him guaranteed money, so that obviously makes it a lot more difficult to move on from Saudi when you're going to owe him $20-some million or whatever.
Yeah, he drafted a rookie quarterback this year, too.
Who?
Kellen Mond from A&M.
Hey, kid's a player.
Well, I mean, they're calling for Cam. Maybe they don't love him up there.
Yeah, but you were the only one that was acting like Stidham had a chance to be the quarterback.
Stidham had a chance, and he drops the ball.
Remember he said that Cam could back up Jared Stidham?
If he lost the competition, which he didn't.
You didn't say if he... You said, welcome to New England, Cam.
Yeah, competition.
You can't wear the number 1 because Pat the Patriot wears it.
Right. It's back.
And Pat the Patriot's back in 1.
He's all the way back.
Did he change his number last season?
Yeah, he's 1776.
Was he really?
I don't know, maybe. Not positive, actually, on that one.
I saw that the Indianapolis Colts drumline all wears the number 1.
Oh, nice.
That's very nice of them.
Huh.
Nice.
Very respectful to Paris Campbell. Let's go to Jared in San Jose. What's going on, Jared?
Hey, what's up, boys? I wanted to first shout out Julio Jones for fucking over my fantasy team.
Okay, all right. To hell with whoever you just said.
Come on.
I wanted to talk about the Browns if y'all still think they're a playoff lock after the AFC North looked hella good in Week 1 and OBJ being out.
What do you think? What do you think, Jared?
I mean, I think we look good against Kansas City, but it's also the Chiefs, so you can't really say shit against that.
Well, that's real, too, because who knows, until the Chiefs decide to turn it on, who are you really playing against?
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to judge teams playing against the Chiefs, and I think it's hard to judge the Chiefs because do you judge them for the 3 quarters or do you judge them for when Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes decide, hey, we're not fucking losing anymore, and then Tyreek Hill just starts running those things. It's a very fascinating situation over in Kansas City, and it makes a lot of gamblers' lives miserable, I think, because they're going to win. But it's like, will they decide to win by a lot or not? And that is crazy that they have that ability, but that team legitimately has that ability, the flip the switch mentality. I think the Cleveland Browns are good, though.
Very.
7 teams make the playoffs in the AFC. They're definitely one of the 7 best teams in the AFC.
Yeah, super wild card weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, we got more games than we could ever imagine. What were you going to say, Gump?
Chiefs is the one this weekend. It's time.
Oh, I said that last year every week.
This is the one. -3.5 against the Ravens. They own the Ravens. Ravens, short week. This is the one.
It's time.
It is time.
Got a lot of
Are you
guys
hammering this right now?
Oh, yeah.
Gumpy's the greatest gambler I've ever seen. So, if Gumpy's
There's got to be one where they just fucking smoke somebody.
What is this, 3.5?
Yeah.
Prime time.
They're going to win by 2. They're going to win by 2.
They'll find a way. Or 3.
Buckers, they're gonna score 35 points in the final 4 minutes and win by 2. That is just, they have that ability to do it. I wonder if they're still feeling out the defense the entire game, and then they have it. They're like, all right, here's what we do, or if it is legitimately what it looks like on TV, where they literally just go, okay, now we play football.
Time to win.
Now we play football good, and that's just what BA said too. By the way, Bruce Arians said after that, we got winners on this team. They're going to find a way to win. I feel like that's what the Chiefs are. Not only are they incredibly talented, but they also have a stacked lineup of winners who are like, we're not going to lose this fucking game. Like, let's go ahead and, okay, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. Here we go. It's game over. They win. Don't cover, but they win.
Well, it is. I mean, like, how many teams can legitimately say that, like, yeah, we could score on every single play potentially
if we want?
Yeah, like if we needed an 80-yard touchdown right now, we have like a 50% chance of potentially doing it.
Every time we say that, by the way, and it gets posted, shout out to Gumpy posted a live tweets, by the way, during the show, and when I'm live on SmackDown alongside Nick D, every time they go, oh, except for that one time against the Bucs, it was like, well, he also had no offensive lineman in that game.
Didn't have either one of his tackles.
And by the way, I love the Bucs. I think the Bucs are the same thing. In Hancock, where Hancock, the drunk superhero, Will Smith, and that lady are around each other, and it's like, hey,
they get weaker.
There's only one. I think the Bucs and the Chiefs are so similar in the mentality. Like, hey, we're going to win. Hey, we're going to win. Hey, we got dudes. We got dudes. We got an offensive mastermind. We got an offensive mastermind. That's why I think everybody's just trying to play catch up, because you can stack the roster with people, although it seems like those two are doing most of it. Do you have dudes, though? Like, do you have guys that are going to refuse to lose? Like, enjoy winning so much that they refuse to lose? Matthew Stafford's a guy out in L.A. who has proven that he has done that, even though he has lost so many games in his history.
And for the Chiefs, Matthews back this week, and Derek Carr hung 435 on the Ravens passing yards wise. So, I mean, it's hard not to imagine Mahomes doesn't get to 500.
All right, I'm putting 1,000 on Chiefs. This happens every week. Last season, it happened every week last season for me and the Cardinals. It happened every week last season with the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs a lot.
It has to be.
It's time.
It's time.
Thank you, Gumpy. I appreciate you. Thank you to all the boys. Tone Diggs, shout out for you making a hard decision on the pod.
Thank you, Tony.
You know what I mean? That is what sometimes you got to do out there. I floated the idea. You hit that thing out of the park. As soon as that thing left my hand, you hit that.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah. Saw daylight and just right to pager.
And sometimes people got to do that.
If he's stuck at home, maybe you could just get one in of him talking.
Oh, just a Diggs pod.
Yeah,
Diggs
if he's
pod.
got time at home.
Call it Diggsy.
Yeah.
Diggsy.
Diggsy. All right, we're going to get out of here. Hammered Down will begin about 4:05 probably. Eastern Daylight Time at youtube.com/hammered down. Can't thank you enough for all joining us today. Remember to just tweet Tyreek Hill PMS on #PMS Untouched. Yeah. You could potentially win a bidet and $200 to put the bidet in.
Right, have it installed. Yeah.
It is a life of luxury whenever that thing's spraying on your butthole.
Yeah.
Change your life.
It is insane. It is pricey. That's why you need to use promo code PAT4930 to get $50 off. Still going to be pricey, but you could win one. You tweet #PMS Untouched and Tyreek Hill. We'll see you, Manana. Hammered Dahns in about 35, 40 minutes. We can't thank you enough. Have a great Wednesday. See ya.